we initiate chaos theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots, sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only wakes us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Only another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All above the Betty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. I come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Betty Express. In a beautiful darkness.
I hope we are all buckled in because I guess it's just going to continue to be crazy on this trial. For those of you, welcome back, everyone. And for those of you who are kind of just, stumbling in to this case, we are currently on day one, part two. It took us about 4 hours just to get to opening statement and 2 witnesses. And we are actually right mid testimony of one witness where he is alleging that there was an actual VHS video at one point of the dog taking the plastic bag containing the head and wandering into the street with it. So we are just getting ready to take a break because if the state had access to a video or any sort of footage, showing the dog messing up the crime scene and the defense, didn't have it, that could be a very serious discovery violation. It's Fulton County, so I was expecting it to get crazy, but not this quickly. And this case is nutty. I do have a short, about 17-minute video that will give you kind of a breakdown of this case if you're just joining us. I don't usually do this, but I would recommend watching that short 17-minute video that kind of covers an article because it's much more concise than the random squiggle of like a thundercloud slash, chaos squiggle that I can explain this case. Now, the bottom line on this case is that Melissa Wolfenbarger went missing approximately after Thanksgiving 1998, while remains were found about 6 months to 9 months later, a year-ish later. They were not identified as having to do with anything with Melissa's case until 2003, when positive ID on the remains and the remains being only limbs and a head, never the torso, were found relatively close to where her husband, Christopher, used to work, but also close to the marital home. Now, Christopher is on trial for the alleged, killing of his wife in 1998. But Melissa has an interesting family tree. Melissa's father was Carl Patton, a notorious, it seems like he took credit for 5 homicides prior to his passing last year. And he was sort of the reason that Melissa was even identified because of, I think, DNA evidence that linked him to the remains. And he was potentially thought of as a suspect for taking his daughter's life for a little while. But the state will maintain that Christopher has always been sort of a suspect. Now, the defense in their opening went pretty hard against Norma Patton. Norma is Carl's wife, and so Melissa and Carl are her mom and dad. And it's just a crazy, crazy case. Denise, I'm glad you guys are hanging out with me. I have my handy new notebook that should be for better notes, so maybe I can make sense of all this. So I have my notebook, I have my pen, I have a highlighter. We are ready to rock and roll. It's quiet right now. They're getting ready to get the jury out because the defense has raised.
Thank you. Don't wander far, okay?
So essentially where we are in the trial right now is we've got, let me get my old notebook out so I can get my old notes out. We have Kelly, a detective on the case, Dale Kelly, who was sort of the lead detective as the head was initially found. He was called out from the homicide patrol. And he, on the stand, claimed that the state had at one time had access to either closed circuit TV or security footage that showed a dog, and Dale will say, you know, the same dog that was sort of hovering around the crime scene, wandering around with this plastic bag that had the head in it, and the head dropped in the street. Y'all, I don't even know where to begin with this case. So let's just jump in, like I do just about everything.
Mr. Samuel, that witness has now left the room.
Well, I have a couple questions. I'd like to know, first of all, whether Mr. Wilson will either corroborate or dispute that he's been given information about video camera evidence that's lost, his reports that are lost, evidence that they knew that the dog had dragged the skull out of the woods into the road. There's no police report about it, and now it turns out his actual statements are missing, all of which apparently he told the DA's office, none of which even comes close to ever having been revealed to us, ever.
Mr. Wilson?
If I could respond to this, Judge, because I was talking directly with this witness on this issue. If
Okay.
you allow it.
Sure.
All right. I do have information about the comment about the dog from this witness. We were not able to locate the video. I didn't know there was a video of that description until I had that discussion with this witness. The detectives, Shepard, suspected that there was a dog or dogs in the area that may have carried the head out from the wooded area to the street where it was located. That's been his theory since the beginning of the case.
Right, but inferring that from the presence of a dog that Mr. McKeitern testified to is different than we recovered some sort of surveillance video that showed it, but then we lost it.
Sure, and that was never intended to be introduced into evidence by the state. That's why it wasn't elicited during direct. We had a video cassette. We had several small mini cassettes. At the beginning, before the case was indicted, those were submitted to a company in the cabinet, were transferred over to a thumb drive, which was submitted in discovery. And they're labeled as such, converted VHS. It's in discovery. But that's the only VHS cassette that I received from APD Annex. Multiple times we've done it. I don't have a VHS cassette.
Okay, hang on. The physical nature of the physical medium in which the state might have it or not have it, I think is less important at this point than does the state have some sort of video that would line up with what this witness is saying he observed, like some digital video recording of that image?
I don't.
Okay, and so the videos that you're saying you were aware of that were reduced by a private company to a flash drive or something and were produced in discovery, what are those?
Those are all statements. Witness interviews,
Okay.
which have been turned over.
Okay.
That's the only VHS cassette that I've seen in this case. A lot of mini cassettes that have also been converted. I only had one VHS cassette.
Okay, I appreciate that. Again, I think it would be easy to identify it if it was a VHS, in your possession. But I think more importantly is, does anybody know that such a video ever existed, whether on VHS or anything else?
Yeah, that's kind of my
I didn't have
question.
a documentation of that in the Detective Calhoun's report. I didn't have documentation of that in Detective Shepard's report. And I did see in the reports that Detective Kelly had written that elicited that information. And of course, all the reports that I have from Detective Kelly appeared to be complete.
Okay.
I had no reason to believe they weren't. But, so like I said, I never intended that this information would come in because it didn't have a way to authenticate. Other than that detective testimony, I knew that would have been permissible to elicit. He had just testified to it.
Okay,
I never intended for that to come out.
Mr. Samuel? I think the answer to your first question is, well, actually, to be honest, now that I'm trying to put it in words, I'm not actually sure I'm clear on what the answer is. And that was why I was trying to make the distinction between the VHS and the video.
Yeah. Let me explain to you how I see the problem. We have been working on this case, Mr. McDermott in particular, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for Lord knows how many months at this point. He's been in communication with the DA's office. There's been a lot of open file. And yet apparently they're not telling us about evidence that's lost, about videos that are lost, about their second witness on the stand who's saying he was the chief investigator in the case and some percentage of his reports are lost. Now, either the DA's office says they were oblivious to all of that and they learned that the same time I did, or they've known it all along and didn't tell anybody. Meaning you, us, the destruction of
Yeah.
evidence, the loss of evidence, the loss of evidence that may be important, the loss of police reports from witnesses, right, from a chief investigator from the original crime scene. He says his reports are missing, and nobody's telling us that the witness is just going to, blurt that out on cross-examination for the first time. And, this business about bleach is not in his report. There's references to bleach in the report. According to the crime, it had nothing to do with bleach in the bags. It was bleach that was done by the crime lab to clean the bones.
And that's a matter for cross-examination.
Well, but he's saying now he's saying I've got bleach in the bags. There's no report anywhere that says that.
And again, that's a matter for cross-examination unless there is some report that has not been provided to you. But I'm going to ask you to put a pin in that for a moment and revisit this with Mr. Fawcett or Mr. Wilson. I'm still not sure I understand the answer to the question, which is, before Detective Kelly took the stand, did the state have an understanding that he believed there were other reports that he had made that were missing, number one, and number two, that he believed there was a video showing what he's described about a dog with a bag in its mouth pulling it into the street, which was containing some body part or other? Two questions. What are the answers to those two questions?
Yes, I was providing that information last week when I spoke with him.
Okay. And what efforts did you take to determine if such evidence did in fact ever exist and or was lost or in your possession?
Well, I went back through the file to see if there were additional reports by Detective Kelly. So the reports from Detective Kelly, I sent him portions from the file that we turned over. I went through our additional discovery. I saw additional reports that were turned over. Similar reports to the first one. They were 1 or 2 pages, so not what he's discussing. But I wasn't able to locate any additional reports by Detective Kelly, and that's been through the...
Now, if you guys have followed Mornings with Mo, I did a couple stories about the annex in Fulton County. He keeps bringing up the annex. The annex is notorious. I've done several stories where this is where they're kind of evidence depot and things like that. There have been stories coming out of Fulton County about cockroaches and mice getting into the not street legal pharmaceuticals storage and, well, basically being high off their asses. But there's also a lot of, because of the animal infestation, there's been a lot of evidence that has either been misplaced or something done wrong. But let's get back into this.
several times that I've gone through the discovery.
Okay. And okay, so you were aware that Detective Kelly believed that there were other reports that were not in your file?
That was last week, yes.
Okay, but I understand you only became aware of it last week, but you did become aware of it at some point.
That's correct.
And what about the second question, which is, were you aware that Detective Kelly believed there was some sort of surveillance video that had been recorded at the time that reflected what he's described?
Yeah, that's the same conversation. But
Okay.
Yes.
And did you disclose, and I'm not implying here that you were obligated to, we can have that conversation in a moment. My question though is, did you disclose to the defense at any time that Detective Kelly believed that there were reports that were missing or that he believed there was a surveillance video that was missing?
I did not have that discussion. No.
Okay. Mr. Samuel, I think I've gotten the answer to those questions. What, go ahead.
Well, I have the same. The first question is, why would you not disclose that to the defense? That we're going to put a witness on the stand who, in essence, is going to ambush you on cross-examination because you think, defense counsel, you have all of his reports. We know you don't. So if you cross-examine him, you're going to find out that he's going to say, oh, that's absolutely true. I've got additional reports. They just were never given to you.
What obligation does he have to disclose to you?
The prosecution has an obligation to report missing evidence, right? A VHS camera. He can't just say, it's missing, so I'm just not going to bother asking questions about it on direct examination and let the defense attorneys walk into a trap where the witness can say, oh yeah, what other videotapes are missing? Do they have a videotape of the crime being committed they haven't told us about that was lost? I mean, this is somewhat not the most important thing in the case, whether the skull was dragged out of the woods or wherever it came from. I'm just very concerned if by witness number 2, we're discovering that the prosecution knows there's missing evidence, missing surveillance cameras, missing police reports.
I will say, as an objective observer, I am not liking this look from the state. Even if it was done with the best of intentions, I think that we are all sick to our back teeth of prosecutors who are willing to play fast and loose with the rules in order to, make their case. And I think this is this is the problem, is that when the state does this, the state is bringing the entire force of government to change rules to make it unfair. And I do not like this look. Again, it's not a good look for me. And I have serious worries about the state's case. And I know that we're very shortly into this, but if this is what's happening on the second witness, then I think the defense is bringing up some good points here.
Know that that's true, and they're not even telling us that. It's bad enough that they're missing, which is understandable after 20 years to some extent. It's not understandable why they wouldn't tell us.
So the question then, Mr. Samuel, is what relief would you have the court give you in light of the fact that it wasn't disclosed to you? Is that not something that you can remedy on cross-examination and with this witness and argument?
I have no idea what he's going to say, because I have no idea what this witness is going to say that hasn't been disclosed to us. The whole point of discovery in a criminal case is you give us your witness statements. Now it turns out he knows a lot more about this case.
I understand.
Did they know? The
But that wasn't my
prosecution
question.
knows.
My question was, what remedy would you have me fashion to address this issue if I agree with you that this is a problem? Is it go talk to the detective and figure out what he's going to say before you have to cross-examine him in front of the jury?
I was actually going to suggest that you tell the jury, disregard the witness's statement as of now. At some point later in the trial, if they want to bring him back after disclosing to us the statements he gave to them, it's missing from what they gave to us. If there's something more than the VHS, something more about the bleach, something more about whatever I haven't, stumbled upon yet. When a witness talks to them, that's a witness statement also that hasn't been turned over to us. Not just the witness statement that's lost, but what they told him, what he told them last week is a witness statement that hasn't been disclosed to us. You can't interview a witness, find out relatively important information and say, I'm not going to put it in writing, so the defense attorney's never going to learn about it.
Understand. Thank you, Mr.
I would ask that the witness you tell the jury not to pay attention to what the witness has testified to, and we'll bring him back later in the trial if appropriate.
Thank
I
you.
wonder if you could
After the
voir dire him.
prosecution does what it's supposed to do.
Mr. Fawcett?
Yes, I think I could understand, still wouldn't agree with it, but I could certainly understand Mr. Samuel's position if we were going to take this, I guess where he's going with it, there's some nefarious intents and bad faith on the part of the prosecution to do that. I will say I am not immune to oversight or overlooking items, but hindsight I would have, but I will say this, I had no intention on not turning that information over. I didn't think it was of any consequence. I thought at the minimum it would benefit the state. But finding that information out on Friday.
You didn't think it was of any consequence that the lead investigator, when certain body parts were found in this very consequential case, came to you a week before trial and said that there were reports of his missing and that he had memory of a security footage that was also not there? You didn't think that was important? Okay, that's comforting.
Or Thursday before the trial, I did think that was somewhat of an ambush. And again, also at the same time, I would say this, I believe the defense has contacted just about every witness that we've had on the witness list since the beginning of this trial. Detective Kelly's name has been in the discovery since the discovery was turned over. There are 3 total detectives, and I know for a fact they've subpoenaed detectives from the Pat investigation. And so if they had called Detective Kelly, he would have been willing to speak with them. But to infer that there's some nefarious intent in the process of just simply preparing for trial, interviewing witnesses, I think it's a bit much. At a minimum, at a maximum, I can understand the court we're going to instruct the jury to disregard the last statement, but to instruct the jury to disregard the entirety of his visual observations and testimony about that when he arrives at the scene, I don't believe there's any reason for the court to decide in that manner.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. Let me try that again. Has the defense spoken or attempted to speak to Detective Kelly prior to today?
We have not, Your Honor, and I'm looking for the state's witness list that was sent to us currently because I don't think we were ever given any contact information for him, and he's retired, so usually not kept by the police department.
Defense, come on. Google exists. I'm sure you have private detectives. I'm sure that lawyers have ways of finding people. So, yeah, I get that he wasn't given contact information, but I'm sure that you could eventually find someone.
That doesn't actually answer my question. Is your answer that you haven't attempted to contact Detective Kelly because you weren't provided contact information and you weren't able to otherwise locate him because he's retired?
That wouldn't be 100% honest, no.
Okay.
If I could say, I'm not sure the blame should be on us.
I'm not implying that I'm blaming you. I'm asking what information did the defense have that they could have exercised in terms, right? I'm just trying to understand the scope of this. It'd be one thing, for example, if y'all had tried to contact the detective and he'd refused to speak with you. That's what I'm trying to figure out, so.
I understand that's your question. I'm not quite sure the consequence of it. If we trust the prosecution, that when they give us the reports, we have the reports. If we have to go and consult all 18 of the witnesses on the list now, all 30 of the witnesses last week, and all...
This prosecutor right here is done. He is like, oh, this is FUBAR beyond all, comprehension. This was not the way my witness was supposed to go.
150 in the original list and say what is missing from your police reports, this case wouldn't have been ready to be tried this year.
Okay.
But
Thank you, Mr. Samuel. So I still think that the answer to the way to resolve this in the most expeditious manner is for y'all to go into that conference room with Detective Kelly and find out what he's going to say is missing from his report. Because whether or not Mr. Fawcett should have told you is a different matter than whether or not this detective can testify truthfully about what he believes happened in response to questions. Mr. Fawcett is correct that they didn't solicit that testimony. And to the extent that you believe you've not been given complete information, Mr. Fawcett has made representations about what additional information he believes there is. And you can ask Mr. Detective Kelly those questions while we wait and bring the jury back in. I don't think, it's 2:40. I feel like an initial conversation with that detective to find out what else he's going to say and how many reports he thinks are missing. That's a fair conversation for y'all to have before I decide what to do about his testimony, or to simply have him retake the stand and let's continue his cross-examination with you having the benefit of the additional information that he believes is missing. Mr. Fawcett? Or Mr. Wilson? I think he's technically your witness, but.
Yes. And so the court's going to go in, would the court allow a recess for them to speak with the witness?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm proposing.
I think that's the way to do it.
Okay. So, Mr. Wilson, if you will go and gather Detective Kelly, and y'all can either discuss it in the lobby, or you can go into that conference room in the atrium there, or you can go in that conference room and discuss with him what items he believes are missing or that sort of thing.
Okay.
Thank you. We are in recess until 3 o'clock, or if y'all come back sooner than that or later, tell me.
One second. Sorry, I was shooting something off to Baker. Excuse me. We are going to fast forward through their interview of this witness. What I will say is I was actually talking to Baker because I think we can comfortably set our watches and alarms for all Adelson all the time with Donna Adelson's trial coming up, and wanted to see if he wanted to look at possibly rewatching if I can find all the footage of the Holly Boba. Gosh, I forgot her name. It was a fairly recent case, and they just had a hearing about possibly getting a new trial. I believe it's the Holly Bobo case, or a Bobo. So I'm seeing if he wants to look at that one after this case wraps up.
It sounds as if the only general editorial I'm being requested or ruling is to instruct the jury to disregard Kelly's testimony about a VHS or some sort of video. What are your thoughts on that, sir?
I'm not objecting with that, Judge.
Okay. So what we'll do then is we'll have Detective Kelly return to the stand. I'll have the jury brought back out. When the jury returns, I will instruct them that they are to disregard any testimony from Detective Kelly regarding a surveillance video showing a dog. And then Mr. Samuel can resume his cross-examination.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm ready for the jury.
Hello, factual lie.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in a moment, Mr. Samuel is going to resume his examination of this witness. Before he does, I'm just going to instruct you that this detective's testimony regarding a surveillance showing a dog, that information, I am instructing you to disregard that testimony. Do you understand? Any problem with complying with that instruction? Okay, thank you all. Mr. Samuel, you may resume your examination.
Detective Kelly, you mentioned on your direct examination something about bleach, and I want to clarify that as well. Am I correct that you don't have any independent knowledge that there was bleach in the bags? Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. In fact, what you've learned was that the bleach was put on the jawbone and on the skull at the crime lab or at the medical examiner's office, correct?
Yes, it was
Okay. So there wasn't bleach in the bags. There was decomposition of
fluid.
flesh and whatever, but it wasn't bleach that was put in the bag,
No.
correct?
That's, yes, there's an understanding between me and somebody else.
Speak up a little bit for these old ears.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay, all right. All right, now, you indicated before that you were missing some police reports, right, or at least one. And during the break, you and I had a quick conversation, right?
Yes, sir.
And the police report that's missing is the one dealing with the second time you all went out to the scene. The first time is in April, the second time is in June. Is that correct?
Well, I was provided more reports that I did not have or was not given to me at this time. And then the one I'm referring to now is 6/3 of 99.
Right, and that one you don't have, and nobody has, but you and I discussed it, so it's as good as if we had a police report, right? Okay, so in June, you go back out there, and you're in the same general vicinity or somewhere out there, is that right?
Wooded area,
Wooded area. You're not on the road anymore.
no, sir.
And now we have black plastic bags, no bleach or anything, but black plastic bags that have different parts of the skeleton, frankly, right?
Of human remains, yes, sir.
Human remains, okay. And you gathered those up, and they all get sent to either the medical examiner or the crime lab, correct?
Well, no, I did not gather them. I did
You were
not
present.
touch. I was present.
So one of the things that I do wonder if the defense is going to pull forward, because if you were with me yesterday, the defense really wants to put forward that Carl could possibly have been the third party culprit. They've made a big thing about some of Carl Patton's victims being disposed of in trash bags. I would want to know as a juror and as a me, if it was his practice to double bag his victims, which is a sentence I didn't think I'd say, because all of the body parts in this particular case were double bagged. So is that something that is it just the fact that a black trash bag and black trash bags are usually the color they come in? Was that a link that, the defense is using, or that the state initially, when these remains were found, were thinking and linking them to Carl? Or is this just something that, black trash bag, body, they didn't think anything deeper into it?
When it was being done, the medical examiner's office was there. They took custody of them immediately.
Right, and they've taken me either to the Fulton Medical Examiner or eventually the crime lab, or someone we'll be hearing from later on in this trial.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you actually see where the black bags were found in the wooded area? Were you watching as they were collected, even though you don't put hands on them?
Yes.
Okay. And the people who were putting hands on are
Medical examiner.
they wearing gloves?
Yes.
I'm sorry. We have a problem.
Medical
Double problem,
examiner.
my ears and your soft voice.
Medical examiner and their investigator that was out there.
And they wear gloves, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Wear gloving.
Right. And so on these bags, if there's DNA evidence on any of these bags, presumably it's not going to be crime lab people or detectives, because you all are too careful about that, right?
They were. I was not touching anything.
Right. You don't touch them, and they're wearing gloves like you see the crime lab people on TV always doing. Okay. Now, were these bags buried?
I don't remember. Some of them were buried very shallow.
Okay. So just kind of give us an overview. You're in a wooded area. They're like buried under leaves, or did you have to use shovels to dig dirt out?
I don't recall.
Okay. Fair enough. It's 25 years ago.
Yes.
There were paths through the wooded area. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Were some of the bags just simply placed on a path?
I don't recall if they were placed simply on a path or not.
Okay, well, you wouldn't know. Placed is a verb that you wouldn't know, but were they located on the side of the path or right in the path?
I'm going to say on the side.
Okay, so anybody walking on a path would have seen the bag, presumably.
You would think, yes.
Okay, and it's now June of 1999.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the first time, as far as you know, that those bags were ever moved from the path or the side of the path.
Yes.
Was there any evidence that you remember, and I know you don't have the report, it's missing, but in your memory, do you remember seeing loose dirt as if other people, the cadaver dogs, were digging up the ground as opposed to the bags being on the
I
surface?
don't recall.
Very good, okay.
I don't think you would recall that all these years later.
Those are my questions, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson, redirect?
They just have one.
Sure.
Oh, Georgia does like to
Thank you, sir.
mosey.
You may step down. You are excused as a witness. State may call its next witness.
We call Tina Miller.
Now, this might be the sister, or it might be someone else. So I'm going to wait for the banner to see how she introduced herself. I don't know. This judge reminds me of like a middle school principal in an after school special. And the one chick, Adriana from 90210, the chick that looked like she was 40 in high school, that's who she reminds me of. But I feel very much like I've been put to the principal's office, and she's the caring but no nonsense principal I'm going to have to go see in my after school special.
Thank you, ma'am. If you'll come up to the witness stand, and once you get here, before you have a seat, if you'll turn and face the deputy and raise your right hand.
You swear to affirm the testimony about the court today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes, I do. You may be seated, lower your hand. State this for your name for the court quarterly.
Tina, Tina, Miller, Miller.
Where do you work, ma'am?
I currently work for the Gwinnett County Medical Examiner's Office
How long have you worked there for?
since 2018.
What did you do before that?
Prior to that, I worked for the Atlanta Police Department. I retired as a lieutenant in 2014.
Were you a certified law enforcement officer while you were working with the city of Atlanta?
That's correct, yes.
Could you kind of tell the jury about go quickly through your career as a law enforcement officer?
Okay. Right out of high school, I went into the United States Army where I was trained as a military police soldier. When I got out, my goal has always been to go into law enforcement. I got that basic training there in the military. When I got out of the Army, I applied to the Atlanta Police Department. I was hired in 1984, started my training with them, and retired in 2014. While at the Atlanta Police Department, I served in Zone 6 as a patrol officer. I was promoted to detective a couple years later. I was assigned to narcotics, where I spent 5 years working undercover and buying and working drugs in the city of Atlanta. I spent 5 years working fugitive after that. Then I went to the homicide unit, where initially I worked aggravated assaults, and then went on to do adult missing persons in the homicide unit.
And could you describe the duties of an adult missing person, exactly what you did?
Yes, any adult missing in the city, 17 and older, would come to my desk, and I would follow up on the case, contact the reporting person, and do legwork in an attempt to find the individual. Typically, what I would do is go out to neighborhoods. If they had a substance abuse problem, I would go out to the neighborhoods they were known to frequent and see if I could locate them, get word on the street that their family was missing them, and I had a pretty good success rate with getting them or finding them.
And were you called into?
And God bless this woman. I know it was part of her job, but I can't imagine that finding people in the grips of, substance addiction and reminding them that they have a family who loves them and would just like to know that they're alive. I can't imagine what that does to your spirit, but the fact that she still did it, and again, I know it's her job, but that's a really good thing to do, and I'm glad she took her job seriously.
To assist on a case of a skull found in in April, the end of
Squid.
April of 1999?
Yes, I was.
Could you please tell the jury what the circumstances of that were?
I was in working homicide and doing missing persons, and my lieutenant would have me go out on scenes where situations like that, if we had a missing person or we had somebody, we didn't know who they were. And on this particular day, the call came in that Uniform had responded to a call where there was a human skull in the roadway, and went out there with him and Detective Kelly. So I rode with the lieutenant, and we went out and secured the scene and took information and worked the scene.
And where was that located?
On Avon Avenue?
And was that in the city of Atlanta?
Yes, it was.
Fulton County, Georgia?
Yes, it was.
Did you, when you first got what do you recall when you first got to the scene?
Obviously, Uniform had responded, and they had blocked off the roadway with crime scene tape. And I remember seeing the skull sitting upright in the roadway with a white stick in front of it, or a painted white piece of wood. And there was a black trash bag, and also various items that had probably come out of the bag or off of the skull in the roadway.
And is it, I know you didn't do it, but is it important to document the crime scene using photographs?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm going to show you what's been previously marked at the State's Exhibit 21 and 22. I'm sorry, may I approach?
Yes.
Are you familiar with those?
Yes.
What are they?
They are crime scene photographs of extremities in a black trash bag that were found by me later when we went back out to the scene to search for additional remains.
And are those accurate, true and accurate depictions of the scene?
Yes, they are.
Or at this time, I'd ask the 21 and 22 gave me the evidence.
Mr. McDermott? Okay. 21 and 22 are admitted.
Now let's go back to the 29th of April. I'm going to show you what's been previously entered as State's Exhibit number 3.
Y'all are trying to get me canceled. I wrote it down. State Exhibit 3 is the picture of the head in the street that you can't quite tell what it is. It is blessedly far enough away that I think YouTube didn't, ding me for it.
Do you mean the 28th of April or 29th?
29th of April, 2000.
Is that the initial call?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can see on the you can look on the screen, and that State's Exhibit 3 is that depicts the scene at Avon Avenue.
Yes, it does.
Could you kind of point out to the jury what significant things are on the street?
Am I pointing up here?
Yes, actually, that's probably a good idea. Your Honor, witness have permission to leave the stand to help.
Sure, just a reminder to speak up so that the court reporter and the rest of the courtroom can hear
Okay.
you. Thank you, ma'am.
Here we have the skull, which is now sitting up with the white board in front of it. Here's the black trash bag, and these are items that either came out of the bag or came off the skull, because the skull was believed had been struck out in the roadway.
Did you closely observe that skull?
Yes,
And did there appear to be damage to the bone structure?
yes.
And what damage was there?
I can't recall specifically, but I can't recall specifically. Because there were pieces.
Show you what's been marked as States 4. And what does that show?
That shows, again, a different angle of the scene where it's down toward, I believe it's down toward Hartford, looking up Avon Avenue.
And what is significant in that picture as far as this investigation?
Again, you could see the skull, you can see the black trash bag, and other miscellaneous like parts that may have been skin or bone.
Let me show you what's been marked as States 5. What does that depict?
Closer photograph.
Show you States 6. Is that a different photograph of it?
Yes, this is more toward the railroad tracks, looking back to your right.
And what is that a picture of?
That is the black trash bag.
There's a yellow card that has, for lack of a better term, the number 2 on it. What is that?
That is a marker that was, I believe it was put out by the medical examiner's office to indicate later that they could diagram what was there by the number and reference it later as to what was there.
Okay.
Okay, we are going at the speed of Mosey. Come on now.
And where was that in location to? Are you familiar with the business next or very close to the Action Glass?
Yes,
How far is that away from Action Glass?
not very far. It's, if you walk back on the other side behind, like going to the right here, you would go to the intersection and the glass company is right across the street at that intersection.
And if you observed the skull, was there any decompensation or decomposition
Yes, there was.
about that skull? How would you categorize that?
Advanced decomposition.
It makes sense.
As the skull sat there, were you able to make any identifications at all?
Absolutely not.
Could you tell anything about it other than it was a skull?
No, not at all.
Oh, for the love of Cheetos.
Probably a few hours.
Okay. And did you do anything? Did you do anything else at that scene on that day?
I assisted with anything that the homicide investigators needed to be done, and I also assisted Mary Beth Hoptel in photographing by just showing her, pointing out different items in the roadway that may be related to the skull.
Okay. But she actually took pictures?
Absolutely.
Not you?
No, I did not.
What else did you do that day?
I believe that was it.
Okay. Were you out there on a different, well, did you do any, what work did you do on that case starting that day?
Well, initially, the case was handled by a homicide investigator, and once the medical examiner's office collected the remains, because basically they handle remains or a decedent on the scene, and I was in communication with them and assisting the homicide detective in trying to find out who this individual was.
Was it important to find other parts of the individual?
Yes.
And had you been able to do that yet?
No, not at that time, not that day, no.
Okay. So what's the next significant day that occurs in your investigation?
The next time was probably, I think, June 3rd of '99. Initially, there was some question that particular head belonged to an individual that was not in the Atlanta area. The investigators were able to determine that that head did not belong to the individual in Middle Georgia. They found all of their remains, and it was determined by dental that our skull did not go with that body. And so my supervisor suggested that I get a cadaver dog, and a cadaver dog is trained to sniff for human remains and go back out there, which we did.
Well, who all went out there with you that day?
The medical examiners had sent investigators out, and also the homicide unit was out there. And because the area we were going to check was railroad property, we had 2 railroad detectives as well assisting us.
And you remember what side of the street the skull was found on?
Correct.
Was that where you were searching?
We were searching, there's a wooded area which would be across from the skull, and we were searching the other side of that as well as that wooded area.
And were you able to find anything?
No,
How long were you out there searching?
probably all morning.
And you were also using a cadaver dog?
Yes, we were.
And there was, how many people do you think there was approximately?
Maybe 8.
How long did you stay searching at that?
They stayed for several hours, and then another call came up, and when the other homicide call came up, they all left to go handle that call, and me, the dog handler, and the 2 railroad policemen stayed.
And what happened next?
We were standing there discussing, you know, kind of what to do next or further options. And a gentleman that owned the garage on the corner came out and he said, you might want to check the wooded area behind my shop. He said people use that as a cut through and there's people back there doing drugs and you might want to check that. And we did.
And what did you find?
The railroad policeman didn't go with us, but me and the dog handler entered the wooded area and there was kind of a path. So we're kind of walking through the path and I'm following the dog. And the dog kept going and I noticed off to the side a black trash bag. And I picked up the trash bag and it was rather heavy. I opened the trash bag and an item of clothing fell out. And it looked kind of moldy and off-colored. Well, there was another bag inside that was also it was heavy. And so I pulled it open, and when I pulled it open, I saw flesh. And I pulled it open a little more, and I saw the beginnings of toes on a foot. And at that point, I realized we'd found additional human remains, and I believe that to be a female foot.
Okay, who all was out there at that point?
Me and the dog handler.
And then what did you do next?
At this point, the dog had gone ahead of me, and the dog went around to an area kind of behind where I was and found the leg and thigh that was in that photograph.
Okay, and let me go ahead and have you take a look at States 21. And what does States 21 describe?
That is the thigh, lower leg bone that the dog.
Thank you
hit
for
on.
not showing that.
Or
Was
leg bone.
that originally in a bag?
I believe so, but not when we found it,
Okay.
because there's a trash bag that was nearby.
Okay, maybe it's just me and I think about these things. But if you wanted, so you put them in double bags, I'm guessing to either speed decomposition or to try to hinder finding all the body pieces together and animal activity. I don't know. None of this is making sense to me. Welcome as I put this together using my logic and then wonder why criminals are stupid because they don't use my logic.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States 22. Could you describe it? Ed, what is that?
That is a black trash bag.
And was there anything inside of that?
Now, I can't tell from that photograph if that's the one that was next to the thigh and lower leg bone, or if that was another one.
How many trash bags did you find out of that scene?
I actually just dealt
Fair
individually
point,
with
Squid.
the two, but other bags were recovered. Once I found realized what we had, I immediately contacted my supervisor in homicide to let them know we had additional remains and they needed to return to where I was, my location.
Now let me ask you this: how far were those bags from where the skull was initially discovered?
Not very far. The street ran in front of the little junkyard car repair place. This was directly behind it, so not even a block.
And how long did you stay on the scene for that?
Several hours, because the medical examiner's office came out. We, searched that area and found the additional bags, and then they collected them. After they documented where they were, photographed them, then they collected them.
And there's a business action glass?
Yes.
How far was action glass from the discovery of the additional evidence on Thursday?
Right across the street,
So within
50 feet, if that far.
So
What did you
50
do next?
feet.
On that particular day, again, the remains were collected by the medical examiner's office, and they were taken to the medical examiner's office for the examination. And
Also, how did she clock it as a female foot? Now, I'm generally phobic of all feet pictures or all things dealing with feet. Was there nail polish? See, these are the kind of things that I would blurt out if I was a lawyer, like I was sure it was a female foot. Why? Because I'd just be like, why? Why did you think it was a girl foot? Was it because it wasn't crusty and weird? Although women can have crusty, look, everyone can have crusty feet. It's the great equalizer. It what makes us all human and gross.
I assisted the homicide guys with whatever. I had gone back and I checked again for my records, and I did not have a missing person fitting any description in that area.
So what did you do next on this case?
Again, just assisted the, do you want me to fast forward?
Sure.
Okay, I was promoted out of homicide, and but before then I worked with the medical examiner's office and trying to find out, you know, do we have a white male, black male, male, female, what did we have with the skull? And the people, the individuals at the medical examiner's office determined that the skull belonged to a white male. I didn't agree with that, but they were the experts, and so it was listed on the system as a white male. And what we did was we put the individual, we put the skull.
Who from the medical examiner's office tried to put Katie Lang in a corner? We do not put Cagney and or Lacey into the corner. How dare they not listen to this woman? This woman was an expert in women's feet. This one was like, look, I'm a feetologist, a fetus, if you will, and those are lady feet. I smelled them.
Oh, for sure. And we had to do them separately because at this point we didn't know they were the same person. I put the individual on GCIC, which is the Georgia Crime Information Network, and then there's the NCIC, which is the national database. And in a perfect world, that is set up so that when we put that information in, if there's a missing person that fits that description, as limited as we have, we would get a hit on it. And it would say, hey, look at this person. This may be who this is. That did not happen.
Okay. May I just have a moment?
Yes.
Probably a good idea. Yes.
What else did you have to do with this case?
Again, I met regularly with Dr. Terry and talked to her about the case.
Who's Dr. Terry?
She's, at the time, she was a medical examiner working out of Fulton County. She's a forensic pathologist that was looking, at the time, we were working together looking at the unidentifieds that she had in her office and the missing persons I had in my office. And we were comparing notes, trying to get our individuals identified.
Okay, but as far as the scene and everything, that completed your work on this case?
Yes, that completed my work.
Nothing
Thanks
further.
for joining for a
Thank you.
couple
Mr.
minutes.
Your Honor, I hate to do this, but I've just received, literally just now, about 70 or 80 new photos of this particular crime scene with bags, and I would ask the court to have a brief recess to be able to line some of these new photos up. Choose a few to talk to her about this.
Okay.
Cross.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to step out for just a moment while we get ready to examine this witness further. It is 3:32.
For the love of
and I'll be back as
Cheetos.
quickly as I can. Thank you.
All right, for the jury.
J. Kitty Buck, my mother being a sound and sensible person and witnessing my intense struggle to even walk up the stairs without falling, I think she gave up on any sort of physical activity with me. The last thing she signed me up for was soccer. And I didn't manage to hurt anyone or myself, which is probably the best sporting experience I usually have. Ronan, this is literally the third witness, and we've already had the second witness, which was the state's lead homicide detective when the head was found, talk about missing reports and things like that too. So discovery is going to be a very big issue in this case. It is Georgia, Fulton County, and they had a large issue with the YSL case, and as far as discovery being delayed or not turned over. So it's Fulton County. I said, what in the designing women do we have with this hairdo? If Delta Burke doesn't come out here and start complaining about something in Southern, I'm going to be confused. It probably would have worked out. I do like weightlifting. Is she drinking Mountain Dew? Is our judge drinking
Thank you.
Mountain
Please be
Dew?
seated. Anything you need from me while you do that?
Not really, thank you.
Okay. Then we are, say, maybe a 10-minute recess until 3:45.
15 when we go further.
Okay, 3:50 it is. Ma'am, if you will step down, you can just hang out outside, but don't wander far, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We are in recess until 3:50.
Yeah, apparently we are following the Massachusetts protocol for divulging evidence at the very last minute. Yeah, and the more the defense talks, I will be very real about my predisposition to not trust the state anymore. But as the defense has gone off, gone on, and this is only day one. We're not even, past 4 o'clock in this particular case on day one. And I have severe questions about what the state is presenting. And that's not a good place to be. If you have a potential juror who is already like, what in the hell is going on here? And you've barely gotten through opening statements, this is going to be a problem. You have to establish credibility. And with your second witness saying they lost, some of my reports, they don't have, my receipts, that kind of thing. That is a good point. I would also like to say just one day, just one damn one day for all me and all the rest of the women in the world, if we could have our ponytail look like sleek and snatched like that without 100,000 pounds of products, that would be helpful. Because my guess is this man, used Dawn dish detergent on his hair, put it, in a ponytail wet, and his hair looks great. And us women are over here doing like 900 things to Tuesday to try to figure out our hair, and we always look a hot mess. It is unfair. And for there to be balance in the force, I think we all deserve at least one good ponytail, hair day like this man has had.
Come on back up to the stand, ma'am. As you're returning to the stand, just since we took a break, I'll just remind you that when you began testifying, you were sworn in and that you continue to be under oath. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please have a seat. Mr. McDermott, you may begin your examination.
Ms. Miller, first of all, there's a T.R. Miller in several of the reports. Is that you also?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, thank you. You were called out with the group on June 3rd? And that was when the parts were first discovered?
Yes.
Okay. And there was a second group that went out on the 4th. Were you also part of that group?
We're talking about June?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I think that was just one day that we were out there,
That you went out?
that we went out.
Okay. So I just want to be clear. You only remember going out one day?
There was the day where we found the remains, and we may have gone back another time and did a grid search.
Okay. That would have been like weeks later or several days later?
I can't recall.
That's fine. You mentioned a search that was done in conjunction with the railroad police?
That's correct.
That would have been across the street from Action Glass and the other businesses, right?
That's correct.
And nothing was recovered from that search?
No, it wasn't. The dog, one of the employees from the medical examiner's office was concerned about a black bag that was over there that the dog kind of looked at, urinated on, and kept walking, and turns out there was a dead dog in the bag. So the dog was justified.
What in the name of Hades is going on in Georgia? That's it. We need a puppy kitten break just for that, because good Lord, Georgia, fix yourself.
When the world feels like a dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive, take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
So we've had head moved with a stick. We've had a dog carrying around a bag with a head in it. And now we have a dog peeing on another dog who is inside a bag. Georgia, I'm gonna need y'all. I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna pray.
And passing it by.
Was that an active rail line at the time?
I believe it was.
So I want to show you a couple of more of the photos that were taken from the day the remains were found. If I want to show that to her, I want to share my screen now.
If you need her to identify it before you, in order to lay a foundation to have it admitted, you really need to show her in physical form if you are able.
Don't have that.
It is, perhaps you could show it to her on your
On my computer.
screen.
Yeah, I'll do that.
It is possible to only broadcast to one screen, but it's exceedingly difficult. Yes, sir, granted.
I want to show her.
The translation for that is we're not letting lawyers do their own technical duty. We have learned, and that was a terrible idea.
All four that I have.
Go ahead.
Do you remember? Does this ring or look familiar?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. That's okay. We have one computer.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
So for the record, I've shown you 5 photographs.
Yes.
And those familiar to you?
Yes.
And are they fair and accurate representations of what you observed the day that you were on the scene
Yes.
on June 3rd?
Yes.
Okay. Permission to publish, Your Honor?
I'm going to let you
All right,
publish them, but can you give me a designation for our
These
record?
would be defense 1 through 5.
Okay.
And
And
move those to evidence, please.
defense exhibits 1 through 5. Mr. Wilson, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, exhibits 1 through 5 from the defense are admitted and you may publish.
Thank you.
Interesting.
I hope this works.
So this is interesting to me, again, just with the strategy thing, because the defense were bound and determined to very carefully curate a lot of the crime scene photos that they showed the jury. So I wonder if these are cleaner or less gruesome photos that the state just magically found. But something about this whole case is hinky. Oh, for the love of Cheetos. Okay, this lawyer is as good technically as I am. I feel seen. Ronan, I'm not sure. I kind of blocked out the Murdaugh trial, but I thought there's something going on with that. If anyone in chat knows, speaking of which, I don't remember clearly, is Murdaugh going to be retried or did that already happen? I think he's getting a hearing to see if he gets a retrial. I don't remember. Oh.
Perfect. An update is being installed.
Isn't technology great?
You also have a phone call waiting. They'd like to ask you about your car's extended warranty.
And on top of that, I understand you have a plane to catch.
I do, sir.
She picked the wrong day to go back to Georgia. Cagney and/or Lacey is not happy to be sitting here. It's a talent.
And can you describe what's going on in this picture?
That appears to be the area where the thigh and leg bone, lower leg bone was.
Okay. And does that appear to be in what you described earlier as a kind of a walking path or a cut through?
That's actually, the walking path is further over to like the upper part of the screen. This was a lower area closer to the street.
Okay. So that was close to the street or closer to the street?
Closer to the street.
Okay. All right. the same item
Yes, it is.
from a different perspective? Okay.
Yes, it is.
All right.
For record purposes, was that D1 and D2?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
That is interesting.
Now displaying D3. And can you explain what we're looking at here?
It looks like one of the black trash bags.
And is that in kind of a clearing or a little path? A little
It looks
path?
like it may be off the path.
Okay. Is it visible from the path?
I don't recall. I don't know where the photographer was standing in relation, if he was on the path or she was on the path.
Okay.
She has a very forward chin, like Mr. Wolk from the Karen Reed trial.
And what are we looking at here?
Cash Friday.
Fence 4.
Another trash bag.
And can you remember or recall the general location of this as to where you were looking?
No, not without looking at a diagram.
Okay.
Again, that looks like trash bags, and if I'm seeing this correctly, that looks like the thigh and lower leg bone over to where the number 2 is.
Okay. And again, the same difficulty with the location?
No, it's going to be, if that's the leg bone, that's going to be on that further side.
Okay. Further side meaning from Avon Avenue back further behind the business?
If you come in off Hartford,
Okay.
this would be to the right more so than where the foot was that I recovered.
Okay,
This
I
would
see.
be off to the right. It appeared at the time that perhaps an animal had tore open that bag, and it was off to a right, more toward the street.
This one, this bag here?
Correct. Again, if I'm seeing that correctly, and that is the thigh, there was a bag nearby that thigh.
Is it fair to say that this is not stuffed back in the brush?
No, this was, the thigh and the lower leg was pulled out from the brush.
Well, did you see it pulled out?
No, it was found,
Right there?
right, it was found not in a bag anymore.
Okay.
with
But
a
in that
bag nearby.
location?
Yes.
Okay. And as it is in that location, it's not shoved up in the brush or anything?
No, it appeared to have been pulled out of the brush. It was more in a clearing area.
Thank you. You said one of your jobs was to point out items that may have been associated with the skull in the road, of course, going back to April 29th. Is that
That's correct.
And did you find any other items?
Just the pieces that appeared to have either come out of the bag or off the skull.
And some of those were far down the road, correct?
They were a little further down, not too far, but further down.
And is that what you were referring to when you said it looked like it had been possibly hit by a vehicle?
That's correct.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson?
Thank you. Very briefly.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, I think she actually is currently working
May I approach?
for a
Yes.
medical examiner's office.
Okay.
And I've shown you a picture of exhibit number 2. Do you recognize that, what that is?
Yes, I do.
What was that?
That's the area, and it's an overview of the area where the skull and the additional remains were found.
And is that an accurate description of how the streets and how that part of the town looked?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time I'd ask that states number 2 be admitted into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
Exhibit 2 is admitted.
I'd go ahead and publish that.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. Can you step off of the stand and point to where the skull was?
Okay. Your
Or
Honor.
actually, first,
Okay.
before you do
Yes.
that, can you just describe what that is for the jury?
It's an overview of that neighborhood. It's a little different now than it did back then, obviously. The skull would have been found in this area, right here, right in here. This was at the time, I don't know if it was a junkyard or a mechanic shop, but there was a gentleman that,
Hey, law and crime, it does jack crap no good if you don't show us where she's pointing to on this daggone, picture. I mean, it doesn't really help if you don't, show her pointing to this. It doesn't have a skull or anything, so you could actually show her pointing to something.
That either owned that or worked there that was the one that referred us back here. And this is Hartford Avenue, this is the glass company, and the train tracks were back here on the other side of this grassy area, or not grassy, but the vegetation.
And when you described that you were searching on the 6th, or in June, what area did you first focus on?
When we went out there with the cadaver dog, it was this area. We went further down and started at the end where the tree started and came down. And once the additional call came up, where
Good point,
everybody
Wolfram.
kind of left because we had not found anything, we were standing at this intersection, the dog handler and the 2 railroad policemen, when the gentleman came out and he told us about coming back here. I believe this may be a more modern picture because there were no houses. The houses were down here at that time.
And that's where you found the remains.
Correct.
You can have a seat. Thank you.
We are back. The mosey is strong with this trial. Come on, y'all.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State 64. Is that familiar to you?
Yes, it is.
And, could you describe it?
They're black trash bags that are in the wooded area.
And I'm also going to show you what's been marked as State 65. Okay. Is that familiar to you?
Yes, it is.
And what is it?
It's another black trash bag in the wooded area.
And are those fair and accurate representations of how you found things?
Yes, yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask States 64 and 65 be entered in or admitted into evidence.
Mr. McDermott?
No objection.
64 and 65 are admitted.
Thank you. And I'd like permission to publish these.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
It was in that wooded area.
Was that off the path, or when you answered earlier questions about being on the path or off the path? Do you recall where these were found?
This was off the path.
Do you recall what were in those bags?
No, I don't.
But those are relevant?
Okay, riddle me this, Batman, because this is where I'm having problems with this particular, let's call him our unsub. So our unsub disarticulates this body, double bags it in trash, in plastic bags, in order to either speed up decomposition or hinder identification. However, he dropped the bags in proximity to well-known, walk-through paths or cut-throughs of his local neighborhood. Now, either his local neighborhood was so used to trash just being dropped in these sort of walkways that it wouldn't have, alerted anyone to anything strange. But you would think if you're going through the, extra trouble of, dismembering someone, you would take them out to the middle of GD nowhere, BFE. You would go out somewhere. None of this is making sense to me. Again, I'm trying to logic this out, but this is confusing to me because it does seem like you go through all this extra work to kind of hinder ID, but that you put it into a very heavily kind of locally trafficked footpath area.
No, there were remains in the bags that were collected by the medical examiner's office.
But that's how they were found.
Correct.
Show you States 65. Okay. And what is that?
That's
picture describe?
another bag that was in that area, and I'm not sure if that's the bag that had the foot in it because I really can't tell. If I got up and look closer, maybe. I can't tell, but there were remains in the bag.
Would you like to take a closer look at it?
If you had Katie Lang takes a closer look to see if she can spy the dead foot on your bingo card today, you win. Look, we're not going to top that. Go ahead and clear out our bingo cards because I don't even think Final Form Jesus had that on his.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to.
Okay.
tell.
And where was that factory?
Again, in the wooded area.
The same general area?
Yes.
Nothing, please.
Any questions on those questions, Mr. McDermott?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Thank you, Judge.
State name, call its next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls the China Pet.
Did he say Tina? What in the name of...
Are you in?
Do you swear affirm that testimony you will give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
When you do, just be careful of that ledge because your chair's on wheels.
Yeah, I see that.
Get yourself situated, move up to the microphone.
Thank
and if you'll
you.
State and spell your name for my record, please.
Okay, it's Tina Mae Patton, Patton.
They're saying Tina, right? Instead of Tina. I'm just making sure I'm catching this. We're going with Tina. All right. You know what? I'm not asking questions. This case is already crazy. This is the victim's sister, I believe, but I don't want to put that on just in case this is a fake out. Tina. Okay, well, I mean, to be fair, I do not have my full Southern accreditation, so I don't say Tina, but let's get into this.
Ms. Patton, good afternoon.
Hey,
All right. Can you tell the court what part of the county, where are you from?
I'm from Henry County.
All right. And are you familiar with the name Melissa Wolfenbarger?
Yes, sir.
All right. How do you know Melissa Wolfenbarger?
She's my sister.
Okay. Do you have any other siblings?
No, just her.
All right. And is that your biological sister?
Yes.
Can you talk about where you and your sister Melissa Wolfenbarger grew up?
Well, part of my life, we were in Ellenwood, Forest Park area. And then the other part, most of the time when Melissa was in school, we were in Stockbridge or McDonough, Locust Grove,
Okay. How many years did you live in the same household with Melissa?
until I was 18 when I left.
Okay. And are you the same age as Melissa, or are you guys different ages?
No, she's younger. There's
Okay.
7 years in between me and Melissa.
All right. And who lived with you and Melissa in your residence growing up?
It was me, Melissa, my dad, well, our dad, and our mom. And for a little while, our granddad on my dad's side, Papa,
Okay. And what is your mother's name?
Norma
And what's your last name?
Patton,
And what is your father's name?
Carl Patton.
Okay. And were your mother and father together throughout
Sir.
your childhood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what type of relationship did you have with your sister growing up?
Well, there were 7 years between us. So,
Ronan, no, he was actually a quintuple murderer. Yeah, 5. He was convicted of it was the Flint River killings. So during the 70s, her father actually committed, they initially got him for 4, but then he confessed to a 5th murder. So yeah, this case is all of the nuts, all off of it. Tanya. I like that. I will say my name is always messed up too, which is why I just shortened it to Mo, because you can't really mix up 2 letters. Though I do occasionally because I'm me.
we were doing different things at different ages. I mean, there were 7 years between us. So when I was 7 and was out playing and stuff, she was a baby. So we wasn't that close. I mean, we lived in the same house and we played outside and stuff, but we wouldn't, like, 1 year between us, that kind of close.
Okay. And do you live with anyone now?
Wait a minute. So, one of the big things that the defense brought up was that Tina, and this is in the past, this was something they were talking about in limine. Tina had either experienced a teenage pregnancy or something of that nature. And when Melissa was either 13 or 14, she found this passed away infant in a laundry basket in their house. Now, if there's a 7-year age gap, then Tina would have had to be, give me 1 second because I'm having a math. Yeah, in her 20s. So she didn't have a teenage pregnancy, which is what the defense was trying to paint it as. But if there's a 7-year age difference and Melissa was 13 when she discovered the unfortunate child in the laundry basket, then she would have been nearly in her 20s.
It's my husband.
Okay. Now, you said that you lived in the same household with Melissa until about 18. Is that correct?
I was 18 when I left.
And what did you do? What did you do, and where did you go when you left the residence?
Well, at 18 when I left, I was in Stockbridge probably for about a year with my dad's Aunt Marie with her daughter, Elaine. I lived with her for a little while. And then after that, I ended up in Las Vegas, actually, Nevada, and had my son out there.
All right. And when do you make your way back to the Georgia area?
When my daughter was, let's see, she was born in 90, so probably about February of 91, we came back to Atlanta. Well, I came back to Atlanta with both my kids.
All right. So it's February 91. You left at 18. Roughly how many years passes between those two events?
3 years.
All right. During that period, did you keep in contact with your family members?
Yeah. Melissa came to Tucson, Arizona and lived with me for a little while
Okay. All right.
before I had Kimberly.
All right. That would have been during that 3-year period? Mm-hmm. So from, say, 18, 19 to mid-20s? Mm-hmm. All right. And so when you came back, did you live by yourself or live with someone else?
No, I went back to mom and dad's house.
All right.
And Melissa was still at home.
All right. And so you're about, say, mid-20s during that period?
2021.
All right. How long did you stay at the residence with Melissa and your mother and father?
I stayed there pretty much until probably late 94.
Taya, I
probably
like
when
that
I left
name.
again. But I'm thinking about 95 because 95 was when I got married to my first husband, David. And that was in early 95 though.
Okay. How long? It's okay. All right.
So it was probably about October or so of 94, I guess, when I left.
Were you employed, working anywhere during
I wasn't working. I was pregnant at that time.
Okay. And at some point, did you start working?
When I went back home.
And where did you start working?
Waffle House, again.
All right. How many years did you work at Waffle House?
Off and on for about 20.
Okay. And during that period, while you've been employed at Waffle House up until the time that she disappeared, did you keep in contact with Melissa Wolfenbarger?
I was kind of mad at my parents. Well, more mad at my mom. I was upset with my mom. So I really didn't call home much. But all of a sudden, one day, somebody comes up to me at Waffle House and says, "Guess who you're going to be training tonight?" And I'm like, "Who?" They said, "Your sister." And I'm like, "What?" And she was married then. She was already married to Chris.
Okay. And what year was that, if you can recall?
97.
Okay.
Yeah, 97.
So that was roughly the year before she disappeared. Mm-hmm. All right. So what type of work would Melissa do at Waffle House?
Well, she worked third shift with me. She was a server.
Okay. You recall how long she worked at that location? And what location was that, if I didn't ask that?
It was close to the airport, Virginia Avenue, next to where Spondivus is. So the corner of Virginia Avenue and Bobby Brown.
All right. So roughly about 3 months, do you recall the time period?
Probably about 6 months because she had gotten her vacation pay. And Waffle House, you get a vacation check every 6 months.
Okay. All right.
Wait, Waffle House has vacation benefits? Hey, I like seeing weird people at 3 a.m. I too could work third shift at Waffle House. Hey, if I were allowed to wear a body cam, I think I'd do it.
Are you familiar with Christopher Wolfenbarger?
Yes.
How do you know Christopher Wolfenbarger?
He was married to my sister.
Do you recall what
Wow, this woman's like, hells yeah, you want me to tell you about the a-hole? He's a POS, ain't done nothing, ain't been nothing, ain't gonna be nothing. Good Lord, she's about ready to tell you about Christopher, isn't she? If she takes off her earrings, Ish is about to get serious if she takes off her earrings. I have seen Waffle House videos. If the earrings come off, Ish is going down.
point in your life you met Christopher?
Yep. It was 95 when I got married.
All right.
The day I got married actually was the first time I ever met him.
And were the defendant and your sister in a relationship at that time when you met him?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall how long they were in a relationship when you first met him?
No, because, well, it had been a while, I guess, because when she came to work with me at the Waffle House, they were already married.
All right. How many?
It's 95 when I first met him, January.
95, and do you recall how much time passed between you first meeting him to when they got married?
Probably about, not too long. I think it was only a month or two.
Okay. Did your sister and the defendant have any children?
Yes, they had two,
Do you recall their names?
Christine and Joey.
All right. Did you get an opportunity to spend time with them as they were growing up?
No, because I was working all the time.
All right. Prior to the defendant and your sister getting married, how much time would you say you had a chance to spend around him?
None.
Okay.
None.
After they got married, how much time would you say you had an opportunity to spend around the defendant and or your sister?
I spent more time with her than I did him.
Okay.
The only time I ever saw him was when he would come up there to the Waffle House to drop her off or pick her up.
All right. If you saw him in court today, do you think you could recognize him?
Oh, I know his face very well.
Okay. If you could point to
He's
Christopher Wolfenbarger.
Right there, black hair and the gray suit.
Okay. Thank you.
If you would, ma'am, sorry, but for my court reporter, if you'll, you're fine so far, you don't need to repeat
Okay.
anything, but if you'll let the lawyers finish their questions all the
Oh,
way.
sorry.
Before you start to answer, thank you.
Got it.
Go ahead.
Okay. Your testimony was that Christopher Wolfenbarger would visit the Waffle House, Virginia Avenue near Spondivis.
Yes, sir.
How many times do you recall him doing that?
All the time. Every time she had to work.
And what would you see him doing during that period?
Most of the time, just watching what she was doing.
And are you familiar with the name Troy McClendon?
Yes.
Who was Troy McClendon?
Troy was my boyfriend at the time when I worked at that Waffle House with Melissa.
All right. And did you ever see Troy at the Waffle House?
Every day, he worked the same shift that me and Melissa worked, third
Okay.
shift.
Can you tell the jury if Troy was ever at the Waffle House at the same time that Christopher Wolfenbarger was at the Waffle House?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And do you recall a confrontation between Troy McClendon and Christopher Wolfenbarger?
Yes, I do.
Now, without repeating anything that that anyone else said during that encounter, can you tell us what you observed happen?
Melissa was running late this time. She was running late getting there, and I was standing in the back by the office door, just looking out front, watching what was going on, because it wasn't time for me to go out front yet. The manager was counting the money for us to take out, and Melissa came in. She came through the swinging door at the back where I was, and I looked at her, and she had tears in her eyes, and her nose was red, her eyes were red, because that's always how she got when she was crying. We all do when we're crying, and everybody in my family anyway. And I noticed that she had like red marks around her throat, and I said, Melissa, what's wrong with you? What's going on? Wait a minute. Is that a handprint around your throat? And she just looked at me, her eyes filled with tears. And I said, did Chris do that to you? And she just looked at me. She didn't really say nothing. And then I just turned and was going to go out the door. I was going to go say something to Chris.
Okay. Did you?
She wouldn't let me. She stopped me. She said, you'll make it worse.
Can you tell the jury what happened after that?
I went out front. Troy evidently heard me in the back room saying something to Melissa, so he was coming towards the swinging door when I was going out it. He said, what's going on? I said, he hit my sister again.
What happened after that?
Troy went over there and confronted him and hit him, and he just looked out the window.
I'm sorry?
Chris just looked out the window.
Okay. How long did that continue?
Not long, because one of the other employees came and grabbed Troy and pulled him away and got Chris out the door.
Okay. Now, what period of time, if we're trying to orient, you start, I think you said during that 6-month period during 1998.
Sorry.
Okay. So if we're looking at that beginning of 1998 period, can you tell the jury, as best you can, when did that happen?
That was more towards the end of 97.
Okay. Now, is that the only confrontation with Christopher Wolfenbarger that you can tell the jury about?
And that's the only one with Troy.
Okay. Did you end up having another confrontation with
Yes,
Christopher
I did.
Wolfenbarger?
I did.
All right. Can you tell the jury how that happened?
Melissa had come and stayed with me for probably about a week. It was supposed to have been longer than that. So we would sit up at night talking about stuff, and then all of a sudden she decided she wanted to go home because the kids. So I took her home, and she was getting out of the car, and I was getting out with her, and I was going to hug her to tell her goodbye. And he came out of the house, Chris, and was coming down the steps, and he called me a bad name. He called me a B. And I started going up the steps. He said, if you put your hands on my sister again, I will beat your butt. And she grabbed my arm and said, Tina Mae, shush. You're going to make it worse. She always said I would make it worse.
Okay. Anything happen after that?
No. No.
Okay.
She quit after that.
And around what time period was that?
And have a wonderful lunch, Wolfram. All 4 food groups, including pixie sticks. Although expert added that last food group, so I don't know if the doctors agree with him.
That was within a month after the confrontation with Troy. So about a month.
Okay. Okay. Now, I want to turn your attention back to at the time that you were working at Waffle House with your sister.
Oh, I have an unholy rant before we get too much started further on this. Now, I got a brand new notebook. Now, I was under the impression that like all American notebooks, it was going to be double-sided. No, this nice legal pad with the top spiral, which I found that I'm a snob and I like these particular notepads better. This one isn't double-sided. I'm having to use more pieces of paper to take my notes because if not, y'all know I don't have any sense of level. I'd just be writing sentences up a mountain, down a mountain, to the side. But when I am president of America, all notebooks will be double-sided. Like, I thought, this isn't I feel like I'm doing a Randy Marsh here. I thought we lived in America, where papers had both sides lined.
Can you tell the jury if anything you can recall about what the defendant told you that what might have been a cause for concern with you, especially considering the disappearance of your sister?
As far as what she said?
Did you have any conversations with the defendant, or did you overhear the defendant make any statements about anything in particular that was a concern for you?
Yeah, we were sitting having breakfast one morning, me, Melissa, Chris, Troy, and there's another waitress sitting there, Diane. She was a friend of mine. She'd been working with me for a while, and we were all sitting there eating breakfast, just having a conversation, talking about whatever. And then all of a sudden, Chris pops off with, well, I know how to get rid of a body if I need to. And me, Diane, and Troy looked at each other like, what? Because we were just talking nonsense about silly little stuff or about the news of the day or whatever, just cutting up laughing. And then all of a sudden, this comment comes out of his mouth.
Okay. And your testimonies, you don't recall the context or what happened or what was said before that?
Well, that was the thing. It wasn't like we were talking about being mean to somebody or killing people or nothing.
I'm having a really hard time with this witness, and I know she's talking about very difficult things. So as I'm listening and watching her testimony, I am, trying to keep in mind that she is here possibly very convicted to get, or not possibly, but most likely very convicted to get justice for her sister. But it is very evident that she doesn't like Christopher, which, again, with what she believes of this case is not out of the realm of possibility. But then as a juror, I am also going to be noting that she has every reason to throw Christopher under the bus at all times. So I wonder how the juries are taking her in. You know, I know this is in the past, because at some level you have to realize that she is here on a mission, and I'm not faulting her for that. But I would have to then question, you know, some of the things she says and how she shades things, and realize that's the, you know, that's the perspective she's coming at this trial from. So I do wonder if that's going to get her in trouble during cross, because it is evident she doesn't like Christopher. And again, that is completely reasonable if she believes that he took her sister's life and was, you know, cruel and laid hands on her during her life. But that is going to make you question some of her statements, and I wonder if that's going to affect her credibility in the jury's eyes.
We were just sitting there cutting up about little silly stuff, and then all of a sudden this comment comes out. And we're all like shocked, because it's like, where did this comment come from? Why would he say something like that?
At any point, did you ask the defendant about that statement?
Oh, no.
Okay. Do you recall if anybody else asked him about it and if there was a response from him regarding that?
No, nobody said nothing. Everybody was surprised, shocked.
Okay. Now, if Melissa stopped working, you said after that 6-month period at Waffle House, did you see her again after that?
In March, for
Okay.
my birthday.
All right. And what year of March was that?
98.
Okay. All right. So
That's a problem. Because if she saw her in, March of 98, no, that isn't a problem. If she's saying it's March of 98, so what the defense had said is that her sister was going to say that she had met her in the spring. They forgot that the March is before the Thanksgiving, so she didn't actually meet in, you know, it would have been 99 March that basically would have put her being the last person to see Tina, because the defense did make a statement that Melissa's sister was going to say she had seen her in spring. Well, March of 98 is before, or November of 98. So I think that's where the confusion was.
and would that have been the same time that she would have ended her tenure at the Virginia Highland Waffle House?
I didn't know that she was working at that one, because when I saw her that night, she told me she was working at Doryville.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, but was that after she had left the location she was working with you? I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He said Virginia Highland.
Gotcha.
We were on Virginia Avenue.
One moment, Judge. Turn your attention back to you were talking about a period of time when Melissa and the defendant were when you came back, they were in a relationship, but it was before they were married. And you have to give a verbal answer. So was that it? That was a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Do you recall when Melissa left the residence?
That I don't.
Okay.
That I don't. I don't know when she actually left from home. I know in 95, when I got married in January, she was still at home, but they were dating at that time.
All right. Now, have you, let me ask you this. When was the first time that you had a concern about the whereabouts of your sister, Melissa?
When my dad walked into the Waffle House in February of 99 and asked me where my sister was.
Okay. Why was that a concern for you?
Because it was right after Mom's birthday.
Good luck, JKD Buck. May the force be with you and the odds be ever in your favor. And if all else fails, blame someone else.
Mom's birthday is February 24th. If my sister didn't go see my mom, call my mom, or send her a card for my birthday, then something was wrong. Because Melissa always called mom or got in touch with mom or something on her birthday. Always. She never forgot mom's birthday. I did. But she always remembered mom's birthday.
Okay. And so this is February of 99. After he comes into the restaurant, what do you do after that?
Nothing. I just was like, I was surprised. I remember I called my grandmother and asked her why Dad was looking for Melissa. Because at the time he came in, it was lunchtime, so I was kind of busy. So I couldn't really sit down and talk to him and have a long conversation about what was going on. He just came in and said, "Where's your sister?" And I was like, "I don't know, why?" He said, "Well, I went to go look for her and I can't find her nowhere. Nobody knows where she is." I said, "Well, Dad, she doesn't work."
Just a moment, ma'am. Yes, sir. What's that?
Hearsay.
I can move on with the additional questions.
And just as a reminder, ma'am, we generally, unless we're asking you to not necessarily tell us what other people told you, unless we specifically ask you about that, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Sass.
At any point, do you make any efforts to locate Melissa?
Well, I knew that they were looking, so I myself didn't.
And when you say they, who are you referring to?
Mom and Dad.
All right.
Doggone real
Specifically,
life.
did you make any attempts to reach out to law enforcement or anything of that nature?
I did, but it wasn't until 2015.
Okay. And how did you go about that process of reaching out to law enforcement in 2015?
Well, the thing is, in
2015,
2015, there was a lot of the ID discovery shows. I kind of got addicted to them, and we already knew by then that Melissa had passed. So I kind of got angry, and that's when I really started trying to reach out to him and push.
Okay. So these are shows where crimes are being solved?
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So you started trying to reach out. Who you started trying to reach out to?
City of Atlanta, or anybody that would listen. Nobody wanted to really talk.
All right. And are you aware of any investigator was working on that case at that time?
It was Calhoun at that time.
All right. How did you come to find out about the particular officer involved?
Actually, Calhoun, we had already talked to him before that. It was, I think, 2003, I think it was, when we talked to him.
Okay. And 2003, was there anything else of significance that happened in 2003?
That was when we found out that she was dead.
Okay. Well, anything prior to that?
That was the same time that my dad was arrested.
All right. And what was he arrested for?
Murder.
All right. And so,
Okay, I'm not a math genius, but I'm writing down these notes. So she didn't contact police about her missing sister until or have any contact with police about anything about this case until 2015. But they knew that her sister was deceased in 2003 because her father was actually kind of linked to that case through DNA. This case, I'm going to have more notes than the Karen Reed case for this case. I'm going to fill up this entire doggone notebook just trying to friggin' memento a way to make sense of this case.
does your dad's arrest for murder, does that happen before or after you find out that Melissa was the identity of the remains?
Actually, it was the same time
Okay.
that I was notified.
I see. Okay. But do you recall that as being the same year?
Yeah.
2003?
Same year, same day.
All right. And from that 2015 period up to, I guess, the point that we are now, did you make any additional attempts to contact law
Oh,
enforcement?
yeah. I
And
tried.
who did you contact and how many times did you try to do that?
Every time, well, 2015 was when I decided I was going to get the file on Melissa.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was trying to get the file on Melissa.
Okay.
On the case. I had problems getting it. I filed the Open Records Act probably 3 times. And they kept sending me emails back saying, no, they couldn't find the file. There wasn't a file.
Okay. And how many times did you attempt to do that?
That was 3 times then.
And in what agent? You said Atlanta Police Department? You were Okay. All right.
Yes. Sorry.
All right. Did you do anything else besides that? Try to get the open records request?
Yes. After the 3rd time, I had come down here the 3rd time in person and filed it. I'd already talked to somebody with Henry County Sheriff's Department that came to the restaurant where I ate at. And he said, well, if there's a file. Okay.
You can't say what someone else said.
Yeah.
He just gave me a suggestion about what to do about the file.
All right.
I'm going to object to relevance, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow it. Overruled. Go ahead.
Okay. Did you reach out to anyone that wasn't with law enforcement?
Yes.
And
Well, no, she's really with law enforcement.
okay, all right. And did you continue to do that throughout that period of 2015?
Anybody who would listen to the story I told.
Did you conduct any interviews with any reporters or anything related to this story?
Of course.
Okay. And what was the point or purpose of you doing that?
Getting Melissa's story told.
And why were you trying to do that?
Because we wanted answers about her murder. We wanted an arrest.
Okay. Now, did you and Melissa have any conflict as you were growing up?
Of course. I mean, we were sisters.
Okay.
There's always some kind of conflict.
All right.
Nothing life-changing.
And the two instances where you were testifying as to the encounter that you had with the defendant at Waffle House and then at the residence, is that the only encounter that you had with this defendant?
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. McDermott?
Defense is going to be interesting.
You've spoken to the press and media a lot of times, haven't you?
Of course.
One of the things you've said is you've described how you and Melissa are kind of polar opposites.
Yes.
Uh,
We were.
She was a quiet, shy, reserved.
Yes.
And you were not quiet, shy,
Right.
reserved.
No, not at all.
You
I'm pretty
described yourself
outspoken.
a little bit more rebellious
Yes.
when you were younger. Did you describe a period earlier that you had left for a couple of years and didn't talk to your mom?
Yes.
And you previously told detectives that you couldn't talk to your mother. You just didn't get along with her.
I didn't get along with her for quite a while.
Okay.
1 second.
You described yourself as a daddy's girl
I was.
and Melissa as a mama's girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, let's just talk about this briefly. You've been in a little bit of trouble yourself too, haven't you?
Yes.
You were most recently convicted for possession of methamphetamines, is that correct? That was in 2021?
Yes.
And did you have a similar charge in 2022 or 2020?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have previous drug charges before that?
No.
Okay. Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun that Christopher worked for your dad at one time?
He did.
Would that have been a very, well,
Very short time.
it was a very short time, but it was very early in their relationship,
Yes.
wasn't it? What did you say, like 95 or so?
No, probably before that.
Okay. And what did Christopher do for you?
Well, my dad was a roofer.
Okay.
He had a roofing company, so
He spent a good bit of time up on the roof then, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Christopher would have been there with him.
yeah.
And so Christopher would have spent a good bit of time with your dad at that time,
Probably.
for however long it lasted.
Yeah.
Okay.
But a lot of times Dad would go to other job sites and stuff too.
Now, you just described that you didn't know to be worried about Melissa until your dad came into the Waffle House where you worked.
Yes, sir.
And you said that was in February of 99.
Yes.
And that would have been right after your mother's birthday, is that correct?
Right.
And did your mom and dad come up there together?
No, it was just Dad.
Just your dad? And that's when he asked you about where's your sister? Mm-hmm. And
Yes, sir.
she didn't call it Christmas,
Right.
and she didn't call for your mom's birthday.
Right.
And that's when you said, wait a minute, something's wrong.
Right.
And what did you do after that?
I waited to see if Mom and Dad would find her because that's what they were going to do. They were going to look for her. I was working night shift. It was hard for me to look for her.
And it was hard for you to look for her. And how long was it before you actually did start to look for her?
I couldn't look for him by the time 2003 came around and we found out she was dead. It wasn't until later that I started trying to do something.
I see. Do you remember saying to Detective Calhoun that after Carl came up to look for you at your old Waffle House, you went up to Brookline?
No.
If I
That
showed,
was way before that I went to Brookline.
if I showed you a transcript of your interview with Mr. Calhoun, would that refresh your recollection?
Probably.
Now, I would just like to take a moment to rant. If you are going to call a parent, because you have urgental, stuff to talk about, a prescription, and then you put them directly on hold, and that parent perhaps is a feisty redhead, you might not like when you call me to put me directly on hold. Again, she was sweet, but I was just like, y'all called me again to fix the same thing that I fixed 3 times? And then they're like, would you like to talk to our animated helper? They could help you so you don't have to wait for a person. I'm like, no, a person called me. I'm waiting for the doggone person. Roan, I think that her recreational pharmaceutical use is the least of the things that they are going to try to discredit her with. There was talk about, again, the defense brought up in opening statements that according to things that Melissa has said, around when Melissa was 13 or 14, I can't remember the exact year, her older sister had a baby in the family home, and either the baby didn't survive or something. I don't know exactly the details of that, but her older sister got arrested for improper disposal of the baby, because Melissa found found the baby in a laundry basket, and it ended up involving the police. So I do believe that that is actually going to be brought up, as well as any other things that are on her record. And it's going to be up to the jury to decide what they find credible or not.
Can I approach her?
Yes.
My apologies for the small print.
Very small,
I think it's
maybe, but I have glasses on, so it's okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
So does that refresh your recollection?
Yeah, it does.
So you did go up to Brookline after your dad came?
Yeah, because Dad wasn't exactly sure. He had a different address for him than where they actually were. I think the address he had for him was Washington Avenue, I think. It wasn't Brookline.
Do you remember also telling Detective Calhoun that when all this stuff first happened, I went up to the West End to Brookline and knocked on the door?
Before what happened?
Those were your words. You talked to an aunt or a cousin there?
Aunt or a cousin? No, I never talked to an aunt or a cousin.
If I showed you a transcript, would that refresh your recollection?
Yeah. Where?
You do not. Thank you.
I don't remember that. No, I don't remember that.
That doesn't refresh you?
No, I don't remember that.
You deny saying that?
I don't remember saying that.
You deny?
I know that I don't remember ever knocking on a door and a cousin or something like that answering the door.
You remember that?
I know I went to Brookline after I saw my dad.
Do you remember the house that Christopher and Melissa lived in was a duplex?
Yeah.
And that their relatives lived in the second?
There was a uncle or something that was deaf that lived on one side of Chris and Melissa.
So do you not deny
Brookline.
making this statement that you talked to somebody at the house?
I don't remember talking to anybody at the house, but I know I went to Brookline, but I don't remember saying to Calhoun that I talked to somebody.
Okay, I just need you to focus on my question. I know you don't remember now, but I'm asking, do you
Did anyone have talking to deaf uncle on their bingo card? Not Schrodinger's deaf uncle conversation.
deny saying it?
Hang on, there's an objection, so just one moment.
The witness has answered the question. He's demanding an acceptance or denial. She simply stated she doesn't recall. So I don't think she's in a position where she's ready to say I deny it because she doesn't remember. She doesn't remember.
I'll move on.
Answer the question.
I'll move on.
Mr. McDermott,
I'll move on.
go ahead.
Do you remember Detective Calhoun asking you about your father, and could he have had anything to do with Melissa?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember saying, no, he's mellowed out as he got older?
I don't think that was exactly what I said, but I know I told him that there was no way it had anything to do with my dad and that my dad would not do that. Actually, I took offense to it.
Your dad has been or was convicted of 5 murders.
Do you remember also telling Calhoun immediately after that you and your sister and your mother were the most important things in his life?
In whose life? My dad's?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you remember saying that he would kill anybody for you?
For us, yes.
If anybody was messing with you, they were gone?
Yeah.
That was all it was. And do you remember telling Calhoun it didn't matter who it was?
That's true.
Does that sound like a man who had mellowed out?
Your Honor, objection. The question initially was speculative in nature, or was asking a speculative question. I think he's coming back to what she thinks her father could or could have done. And I'm
Yeah, and the question is flawed in its premise. I mean, I think if you ask any parent or, okay, good parent, functional parent, they would want to slay any dragons or monsters that their child faced. That I don't, and again, the question doesn't make sense because if you're asking, you know, this is much more of a protective aggressiveness than kind of taking out people that crossed me, which seems to be more of what the father's 5 murders were. It seemed like drug deals maybe gone wrong and then snitching on the police or to the police. I don't know. I haven't gone deeply into that. But they don't seem to be like crimes of protection. They seem to be crimes of opportunity or forwarding a criminal agenda. And then if you go from a person who tends to, solve all of your criminal agenda things with red rum, and then you decide to only go to red rum for defense, I mean, you actually have mellowed. Why do I make arguments to myself about things that people say in trials of which I am not connected?
objection to the form of the question.
I'm going to sustain the objection to the form of the question, and you can rephrase it, sir.
I'll move on, Your Honor. You have stated that through the period that you knew Melissa at the Waffle House and whatnot, that you worked hard to get Melissa away from Christopher.
Yes, I did.
And you said that you didn't like him,
No,
and that nobody in your family liked him.
no, we didn't.
You remember saying that to Detective Calhoun?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember telling him, do you remember saying on a podcast that Mom and Dad don't even know how much I tried to get Melissa away from Chris behind closed doors?
Yes, I do.
And you did all that while you were working at Waffle House. And you persuaded her to come live with you for 2 weeks, right?
Right.
And you said just a while ago on direct testimony that you claimed that she left your house because she wanted to go see her kids.
She wanted to go back home to her kids after a week.
After a week. And that's when you took
Supposed to have
her,
been 2 weeks.
and you took her back up to Brookline.
Yeah.
And are you aware that her kids didn't live with her at Brookline?
They were always there when I went. Anytime I saw her at Brookline, they were there.
You were aware that at that time she didn't have custody of those children?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
Do you remember? Do you remember Detective Calhoun telling you that she didn't have custody of her children at that time?
Hang on, yeah, thank you.
Objection. Yes, objection, Your Honor.
Mr. McDermott, response?
It's not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. It's being offered to her recollection that it was said to her and what her reaction was.
I'm going to overrule the objection. Go ahead.
You remember telling Detective Calhoun that she wouldn't just up and disappear on her kids like that.
I do remember saying that.
And he told you she didn't have custody of them.
I don't remember that exactly. But I know he said something to me about the kids.
If I showed you a transcript of that discussion, would it refresh your recollection?
Where? Okay. But I didn't know that.
And this interview was in 2003, correct?
Yes.
So you've known since 2003 that she didn't have custody of her children, correct?
That's what I was told.
So
And I learned.
your testimony here today still is that you took her back to Brookline so she could see her children.
That's what she told me she wanted to go back to Brookline for, was because of her kids.
Because of her kids. Okay, thank you. You said that Melissa was actually close to Troy, your boyfriend.
No,
Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun that that was one of the few people she was close to?
I don't remember saying that.
If I showed you a transcript of that, would it refresh your recollection?
Yeah.
And I do think some of this is going to be a factor of it being 20 years since this, investigation, but this was 2003. And we like to we like to maintain a certain image of our relatives who have passed away. So sometimes it might not be a function. It might be a function of just letting sleeping dogs lay. So she might not have actually received the information that her sister didn't have custody of her children, or chooses not to deal with that particular part or aspect of her sister's life. But so part of this, I don't have a problem with some of her statements changing, but I think that it is a bit disingenuous for her to, willfully not remember that in 2003 you were told that your sister didn't have custody of her children, which is a very difficult thing for, I think, myself as a mother to understand how you could sign those rights away, and something I would struggle with. So perhaps her sister is struggling with the decision Melissa made, doesn't agree with it. I'm not quite sure. I don't mind small variances when there's been this long in the trial, but this seems like deliberate, just trying to goad this defense attorney. And I don't know how I feel about that. I'd much rather her just answer the questions straight, say, I don't remember, and, but be a little bit more genuine about it, because it does look like she's enjoying needling him.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Not really.
Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun that she was also close to your husband, David, at the time?
I kind of a little bit remember that. Something about David.
Is that David Burns?
Yeah.
And where is he today?
Hopefully in jail
And why was he sent to jail?
for molesting my daughter.
Do you remember, obviously I've asked you several times if you remember talking to Detective Calhoun in 2003. Mm-hmm. Do you remember in that interview that he asked you when was the last time you saw Melissa?
Yeah.
And do you remember telling him, similar to the story you told here a while ago, that it was in March on your birthday?
It was March, the same week of my birthday.
The same week of your birthday. And you remember that clearly because
Because it was my birthday and she brought me a cake.
and she brought you a birthday cookie.
Yep.
And you worked at the Waffle House by the airport, and the WWE wrestlers came in on that night.
Yeah. I remember that.
And you and Melissa were both WWE fans.
Yeah.
And you said, but she just missed them that night.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun that that was in March of 1999?
I don't remember saying 99, but I was probably confused about the year because it was 98. 99 was when she was found.
But you agree with me that she was not found until April 29th.
Yeah.
But do you remember having that conversation with him that your mother had told you it can't be 99, it had to be 98?
I think that was later on when me and Mom were talking, because at that time I don't think me and Mom were really talking that much.
If I showed you a transcript, would it refresh your memory?
Yeah.
Couldn't we just check when the WWE was in the Waffle House? Fairport Roan might not narrow it down at all.
I do remember her telling me that one time.
That was before the interview with Detective Calhoun, obviously.
No, I think that was not before the interview. I think that was later on. I think she said something to me about it.
If this is a transcript of the interview with Calhoun, and you're telling him about your mom talking to you before that interview,
Mom wasn't with me that day. I went to see Calhoun by myself.
and when you're talking to Calhoun, you said, I talked to my mom yesterday. Isn't that what you just read?
Yeah, that's what I just read, but I think that was a different time.
Do you think,
Different time that I talked to Calhoun. That wasn't the first time that I talked to Calhoun.
but now I'm confused. You gave multiple interviews to Detective Calhoun?
I talked to Calhoun several times.
And this was in 2003, correct?
Right.
Okay. So, as of this interview, you were telling him that you were certain that it was March of 1999, but that you had talked to your mom the day before and she was trying to get you to change your mind. Is that what you just read?
That's what,
You grew concerned about Melissa when your father came into the Waffle House in East Point in February of 1999.
Is that a yes?
yes.
Thank you.
Sorry.
So you were working there in that time
Ronan,
frame.
it actually does help.
At a different,
It does help for the dyslexically challenged among us. Sometimes we forget what letters are or where they go, which is why you will always see me on Mornings with Mo, a little inside baseball, a little back, behind the stage. Whenever numbers are involved, it takes me an inordinate amount of time to kind of make sure that I've said the number correctly, along with like news channel names, letters like the WKB. If I put those in order, it is a banner day and a miracle. So thank you, Ronan. It actually does help.
Waffle House I was at a different Waffle House when Dad came to see me.
You just testified.
At Waffle House. But it wasn't the same Waffle House we worked at.
Okay, I'm going to go back and ask you again for the record. Do you remember stating on a podcast, I didn't get concerned until I was at work one morning at Waffle House in East Point, and here comes my dad walking in the door,
Yeah.
talking about where's your sister?
Yeah.
And that was in February of 1999.
Right?
Okay.
What's the question?
Well, I thought you just told me that you were working in a different Waffle House.
I
when this
was.
happened.
It was the one in East Point, but that wasn't what you said earlier.
So you were working at the Waffle House in East Point at this time?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Washington Road.
That was my question. And is that where Melissa came to see you?
No.
What Waffle House was that in?
Virginia Avenue.
Okay. And where's the Waffle House in East Point at?
Washington Road.
Washington. The one by Spun Divots.
I have an objective question for Atlanta. How many Waffle Houses do y'all have? This seems like an incredible amount of Waffle Houses. Like, is Atlanta the home of Waffle House? Are they the corporate headquarters?
No, that is Virginia Avenue.
Okay.
It's also East Point. There's two East Point
East Point
applications.
Waffle House. I see.
Location.
When you saw Melissa leave that night, the last time you saw her, was she by herself or with somebody?
She was by herself.
And how did she leave?
She just left in a car.
In a car? Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun she was in a white Ford pickup?
It's possible. They only had two vehicles that I ever saw.
And she was driving the vehicle?
She was driving it.
Do you know who owned that vehicle?
Probably Chris.
Do you remember telling Detective Calhoun that that car was in her name?
There was another car that I think I said was in her name. But that's what she told me.
If I showed you a transcript of that discussion, would you refresh me?
I said, I think.
Did you tell Calhoun at that time that you think it's in Chris's name? Or did you tell him that you think it's in Melissa's name?
Well, it says there that I thought it was in Melissa's. So that's probably what I said, but there was another car that was supposed to have been in Melissa's name.
Now, you just told us about an altercation that allegedly occurred between Troy McClendon
Thank you.
and Mr. Wolfenbarger. And you told it a little different than you did the first time, or at least as you told Detective Calhoun. And I'd like to walk through some of those details.
Okay.
When you testified a while ago, you said that she came back, they came into Waffle House together, is that correct? Mm-hmm. Melissa and Chris?
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And Melissa walked to the back with you, and she was in tears.
Yes.
And you noted these handprint marks on her neck.
Right.
And you said to her, did Chris do that to you?
Yeah.
And she didn't say anything.
Right.
And you said you went to go do something and she stopped you?
Yeah.
What were you going to go do?
I was going to confront Chris.
Okay.
I mean, sounds
Do you remember
reasonable.
telling Detective Calhoun a different version of that story? Where you asked her, what's wrong with your neck? And she said, Chris tried to choke me.
Probably. I don't remember exactly. That was a long time ago.
But you're testifying under oath here today that she didn't say anything back.
I'm sure when I was walking away, she was trying to stop me, which she would have said something.
But she didn't say anything back when you asked about the neck.
She cried. She didn't have to say anything.
But you told Calhoun that she didn't respond to you. Correct?
I guess. I mean,
And you said that as you were starting to come out the back, Troy McClendon was coming through the swinging doors to the back.
yeah.
Yeah. And when you talked to Calhoun, you said you were coming outside and Troy was just coming in the front door.
No. That wasn't what I meant. There's one swinging door between the front and the back. You have to go
Oh,
through
so
that.
you're referring to the front as just the restaurant part?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And you remember telling Calhoun that when they came in, Chris sat down at the high top.
No, he sat down in a booth.
If I showed you a transcript, would that change, would that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes. Oh, okay. That was when they were coming in the door. When they had come in.
So when they came in, Chris sat down at the high top, correct?
Yes, so.
And for those without Waffle House lingo, the high top is kind of the bar with the tall scoop stools.
Yes.
I don't need to explain that to an Atlanta jury, I'm sure.
Well, I've only been in like 2 Waffle Houses, so
But then
that
you said when you
helps.
came out, you talked to Troy. And then Troy went to confront Chris.
Right.
And then he went over and Chris was in a booth by the window.
Right, because he had moved.
And Melissa was in the seat beside him, correct?
No, Melissa was still in the back. Melissa wasn't out front yet.
If I showed you a transcript, would that refresh your recollection? Mm-hmm.
Other side of the booth. Okay, yeah.
On the outside of the booth, is that correct?
The other, I probably said that outside,
Other side
but
of the booth.
she was on the opposite side of the table from Chris.
How did she transport from the back suddenly to the table?
Because she went out the back door to go out front. She went the opposite way of where I went. I went straight to the front. She went, there's another door behind the office that goes to the restrooms.
Okay.
So she would have went out that door and went out front trying to beat me to the front. But Troy had stopped me.
Okay, that does make sense.
And he had to reach across Melissa to slap Chris, is that correct?
He reached across the table to slap Chris.
But he had to reach across Melissa.
I don't remember Melissa sitting on that side. I think it was the other side.
Okay. So you've told different versions of this story, different details as time's
It
gone
was
on.
a
haven't you?
long time ago.
Yeah. You've also told us this story that Christopher just one day blurted out at Waffle House, he knows how to kill somebody and get away with it.
He did.
And you said you had no idea where that phrase came from.
No.
But didn't you just tell us that Christopher used to work and spend the day on the roofs with your father?
And
And your father was convicted of murders he committed back in 1970s?
So my
And he used
dad
to-
never said anything like that.
How do you know? Were you on the roof with Chris?
My dad would never say anything like that.
I'm asking you, were you on the roof with Chris?
No, I wasn't.
I'm objecting. I believe this is argumentative.
What in the name of Hades are we seeing? There's a better way you could have done this. Again, I understand where the defense attorney is going, but there is no way on earth that this woman is going to agree or throw her father under the bus. So you are never going to give her to back any of your theories about the father being the third party culprit. She was never going to go with this. These would have been questions I would have even told her or asked to her. I would, have asked, what did your father, did your father tend to kind of talk off collar while he was at work? Or that might be something that I would ask Norma, who still has incentive to shade things to make Carl look better, which is weird because, again, convicted of 5 murders. But you're never going to get this witness to throw her father under the bus. So this is just going to be argumentative. I'm good. We should go get popcorn.
Overruled. Move on, please.
So, just one more time. You were never on the roof with Chris.
No,
You weren't there when he spent time with your father.
no.
And you don't know what your father might have boasted about.
My dad never boasted about what he did.
Not around you, correct?
They never talked about what he did.
You can only talk about what you know, correct?
I know my dad never talked about what they did.
All right. Excuse me, no further questions.
Thank you. Anything else for this witness, Mr. Fossett? Redirect.
Ms. Patton, when you confronted Chris at the residence, you were testifying previously to dropping Melissa off at the residence. What residence was that?
Brookline?
Okay. And that was still during that 1998 period? All right. And that,
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. That's okay.
all right. And if we're talking about the year she was found, the year her skull and remains were found, you recall that as being 1999?
Yes, it was.
All right.
99.
Now, if you could, to the best of your recollection, think back to that period of time when you were working with your sister, and I get the Waffle Houses confused myself, and that's the Virginia Avenue Waffle House, is that right?
Right.
Okay. What year was that?
It was 97 when she worked with me.
All right. And was that the beginning of 97?
It was the end of 97.
Do you recall if it was December, November, October?
Well, it was the end of December. It was the end of the year, but it was March when she came to see me of 98, and she had already left that Waffle House.
All right. And your testimony was that she left right after she got the 6-month vacation check?
Right.
So if she started at the end of 97, would 6 months have taken us to the end of 98?
No, I think it was, how can I explain it? If
Words.
she started in like September, then it would have been September, October, November, December. There would have been 4 months right there. By the time my birthday got there in March, she had already left that Waffle House because she was at the one on, what was it? Doraville. She
So-
told me she was at Doraville.
So she would have left, or I guess started early enough in 97 to hit 6 months
Right.
before your birthday in March.
Right.
Okay. Now, you were just testifying as to the events that occurred at Waffle House.
I'm gonna need a flippin' flapjack murder board just for the damn Waffle Houses in this case. Forget just trying to break down the damn case. I'm gonna have to get a Waffle House, board just to explain half of these Waffle Houses. And now I really want a waffle. Damn it.
Right.
You just testified about the booth, about the high chair. Have you seen, like you were showed the transcript before the defense attorney showed you a copy of your statement,
Right.
the multiple statements?
Right.
Had you seen those transcripts prior to today's date?
No.
Right, you hadn't studied those transcripts?
No.
And we're talking about events that occurred in 1998?
Right.
And are you still testifying to the best of your recollection?
Yes.
All right, I saw that, Judge.
Mr. McDermott?
No further questions.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. The witness excused. May the witness be excused?
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, go ahead, ma'am. Counsel, can you all approach for a minute?
Ooh. Sidebar.
Pieces of instruction for you and requests. Let me start by telling you that I need you to be back here tomorrow morning at 9:30. And you'll just follow the same procedure that you followed previously. Now you probably have a little bit more insight about going to the callbacks, and we'll let you into the jury room. So that's 9:30 tomorrow morning. A couple of things that are important. One is we can't proceed unless all of you are here together. So that means whether it's I'm releasing you for the evening or if I'm releasing you to lunch or a break, if you'll try really hard to come back at the designated time, especially if arriving in the morning, because we can't start until everybody's all here together. If you are running late, if something happens, if you missed the shuttle the first go round, that sort of thing, just let us know, contact my office, send us a quick text or an email, and that way we'll know that you're on your way and that we can accommodate that. Last few things I want to let you know, especially now
Alrighty.
that you have heard some evidence in the
We
case.
are
I
going
want to remind you
to-
that your obligation in this case is to make
So that's where that ends. So we're going to mosey on over to day 2. Let's see how court TV does. I do sometimes like court TV. They do better with the chyron about the witness, so I don't have to put up a banner on the end, and it kind of just keeps the screen looking a bit cleaner, in my opinion. All right, so we're just gonna... I love time keeps on slipping into the future.
Good morning, everybody. Is there any pretrial matters that housekeeping while we're getting Mr. Wolfenbarger that we might need to take up?
Yes, ma'am, I have a few.
Okay.
Wants to go first, I'll be happy to let them.
Okay. Well, if it's substantive, then we're just going to wait on Mr. Wolfenbarger. If it's just scheduling or housekeeping, we can do that.
I guess it is substantive.
Okay.
It's borderline, but I'll wait for Chris.
Well, yeah, better to err on letting Mr. Wolfenbarger hear it.
Yes, this judge is the anti-goal. She's going to let the, defendant actually be in the room.
Ma'am, forgive me for not knowing your name, but I was advised that you had requested the Zoom link. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I think if you have an email address on a business card, if you can, so this big board that faces.
So it does look like Chris was able to get a haircut, which is good. To be fair, though, I think the kind of wild hair looked better than the really, really short haircut. But maybe I'm a little wrong. And maybe looking, a little bit wild, a little dangerous in the hair is not the thing you want to, project when you're on trial. So this probably looks much more professional.
The jury, it's set to not show anybody that's not participating by video. So that means as long as you keep your video off, you won't appear on that screen, and that's what I care about.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You got a haircut, Mr. Wolfenbarger? Okay,
We thank you, Your Honor, for your involvement.
okay. Madam Court Reporter, you ready? Okay. This is going to be Dave.
Y'all, he looks... Okay, not exactly, but now all I'm seeing is Forrest Gump.
4 of the trial of Christopher Wolfenbarger, case number 24SC004201. I'll note for the record that Mr. Wolfenbarger is present here in the courtroom along with his counsel, and that the state's counsel is also present. Are there any, I believe we have all of our jurors and we're ready to begin. Do we have any preliminary matters we need to take up before we have the jury in? Mr. McDermott?
Yes, ma'am, I have a few.
Okay.
First, I know we've invoked the rule of sequestration.
Yes, sir.
But since court TV's here and this is live streamed on the internet, would there be any way to instruct or enforce the possibility that witnesses are watching the testimony anyway?
Have a great
and coming in
meeting.
here to-
Thanks for hanging
My
out.
understanding is that that would be a violation of the rule of sequestration, that they're not to gather information about the trial by observing it or by talking to witnesses, and that it's the party's obligation to make sure their witnesses know what their obligation is as to the rule of sequestration.
Secondly, we have evidence that there is a deal and production discussion of a Netflix documentary of the Patton family from the beginning all the way up to the sweep of the Wolfenbarger trial, and that potentially the video that's being streamed here will be used in that documentary. And I know that there's at least one potential witness who has signed a contract for money to be in that documentary.
Sounds like fodder for cross-examination.
It is, but yeah.
Where are we
Am I
going
going to
with
be
this?
limited to asking Norma Patton, for example, for whom I don't have evidence of that yet, on cross with an open question? Or can we get some assurance ahead of time because that would be Brady material if she has signed a contract or otherwise agreed to be in a documentary for which she stands to gain financially.
Well, certainly it goes to her credibility and would be, as I said, fodder for cross-examination. I'm not sure that it strays into Brady material,
It
but
goes to her credibility as Giglio material.
Mr. Fawcett, Ms. Hilton?
Isn't credibility for the jury to decide? I mean, again, now if the state knew that she signed the document or the contract and then deliberately withheld that information, I think that you could have a more fulsome conversation about Brady material. But as far as, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Do you have any knowledge on that issue?
We don't have any knowledge, but we'll inquire, and if we find that out, we will let defense counsel know, but we do not know at this juncture.
Thank you.
And if he knows the tentative person, he can tell us, and we can just continue to inquire.
Well, I've already told him. I had this discussion with Mr. Fawcett
Okay.
a few days ago. and
Okay.
I'm supposed to find out, so. I just talked with Mr. Fawcett. They're going to play a piece of a police interview we've already talked about that we edited down.
Yes, sir.
And since we cut off the beginning of that video, we cut off where the detective says what the date and time of it was.
Yes.
So we've stipulated for the record that would be, that interview occurred on May 5th, 2021.
Okay. And I don't know what you're anticipating, but I assume that when that is going to be played or demonstrated for the jury, that one or the other of you would simply announce that the parties have agreed that it occurred on X date at X time.
Thank you.
Is that right, Mr. McDermott? That's what you were anticipating?
I just wanted to be on the record that there was a stipulation.
Sure, Mr. Fawcett? Or Ms. Hilton? Are we in
Yes,
agreement that there's a
Yes, there is a
stipulation?
stipulation. Yes, Your
And
Honor.
what is the date and time?
Of the interview,
Yes.
May 5th, 2021.
What time?
Thank you. Anything else?
Your Honor, I was going to ask, Mr. Fawcett need to be let into the Zoom room, and if Ms. Johnson could let him into the Zoom room.
Okay. Ms. Johnson, can you let Mr. Fawcett into the Zoom? Mr. McDermott, did you have any other matters?
There was one related to that interview. I'm wanting to bring in a piece of evidence that is a website article. It's from a national news source, so I believe it would be self-authenticating, and I would inquire with the court, take judicial notice of that.
Mr. Fawcett?
I think the problem is the information in there is a reporter making it, but there's no indication, as you never would have, where the source is coming from the information he's attempting to get in. So for that reason, I'd be opposed to it. Yeah, I'm opposed to just printing off random articles from websites and attempting to introduce them into evidence. I don't agree with that. I think that's a problem.
So why don't you email or provide me with a physical copy of the article that you're talking about?
Send it to Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
because
Yeah, I think at this point I've directly emailed y'all. So as long as you copy everybody, you can just send it directly to me. Because I think I sent y'all the verdict form. And let me take a look at it. Generally speaking, what you're proposing, right? The purpose of it being self-authenticating is if it is what it purports to be. And if it has that indicia of reliability, then really the issue would be, I would need to understand a little bit more about the substance that concerns Mr. Fawcett. But that's, I think, a second layer of the analysis that would need to be done as to your effort to introduce it.
Yes.
And so I think I need to see it to be able to tell you, yes, generally speaking, if it's a national news publication that's a reputable source, am I going to accept it that it is what it purports to be? Sure. But if there's some substance that we need to discuss, then I need to see it. So that's going to be my ruling for now, Mr. McDermott.
So tentatively?
Yes.
Okay.
Or Ms. Hilton, anything from the state?
Nothing from the state.
Okay, are we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. McDermott, are we ready for the jury?
I'm ready. Thank you.
Okay. Can we have the jury, please?
The mom duty is strong
Good morning,
today.
ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Thank you. I see that you've all gotten here and found your way to where you needed to be, so I appreciate that very much. And we're going to go ahead and get started. State may call its next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. State calls Ronald Brock to the stand.
Okay.
What in the name of Hades is wrong with that chair?
Come on up, sir. And when you get to the witness stand, sir, before you have a seat, if you'll turn and face the deputy and raise your right hand, he'll swear you in.
You swear to affirm to the testimony that you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, sir? I do. You might want to see.
And just be careful about that ledge with that chair on wheels, sir. And then scoot yourself up to the microphone, and if you will state and spell your name for the record, please.
Ronald Brock, RONALD BROCK.
And good morning, Mr. Brock. How are you?
I'm fine.
And do you live in Georgia?
Ma'am?
Do you live in Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you married?
Yes, ma'am.
What is your wife's name?
Cynthia,
And how long have you been married?
46 years.
And are you currently working?
No, ma'am.
Are you retired?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you retire?
When I hit 65.
You retired at 65?
I did.
Oh, okay. When you retired in 1965?
Oh, no. I retired at 65.
How did she get 1965 out of that response? Now, to be fair, I've had the most random and I don't quite catch things, but how did you get 1965 instead of he retired at the age of 65? It's early in the morning.
At the age of 65. Okay. What year was that when you retired?
3 years ago, what would it be, 2022?
Okay. And what did you retire from?
Action Glass.
And what is Action Glass?
We do commercial, high-rise building replacements, mirrors, storefronts.
And you said we do. Tell me about that. Is that your family's business?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long has that company been in your family?
My dad started it in 1978.
And did you at any point in time serve as the owner of the company?
I become the owner, well, it was me and my younger brother took it over in 97.
And did your wife Cynthia ever work with you at Action Glass?
She was the secretary, yes, ma'am.
And what were some of your job duties and responsibilities as the owner of Action Glass?
Well, I did the estimating. If they needed an extra hand on the job, I did it. I'd go out and look at the jobs, run a lot of glass through the grinder.
And your wife as secretary, what were some of her job duties and responsibilities?
She answered the phone, did all payroll.
While you were the owner at Action Glass, about how many employees did you have?
On average, 9 to 10.
And tell the jury, where's Action Glass located?
It's 890 Avon Avenue. It's right off of Sylvan Road.
And I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit number 2.
It's the Google map.
And while that's coming up, Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 62 and 63. Tell me if you recognize State's Exhibit 62 and 63.
That's it.
Okay, and you say that's it. How do you recognize State's Exhibit 62 and 63?
That's my building, and that's the action glass on it.
Is that I'm sorry.
And I still own the building.
And is this a fair and accurate depiction of the company that your family owned, Action Glass?
It's just been repainted. That's the only difference.
It's been repainted in this picture?
This is, yes, ma'am, this has been painted last year, I believe, is when she done it.
Okay, so is this the current color?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Your Honor, this time state would like to admit State's Exhibit 62 and 63 into evidence.
Mr. McDermott?
No objection.
62 and 63 are admitted.
Now, looking at State's Exhibit number 2, which is on the screen, and if you can look this one, I'm sorry.
And
Permission for him to step in?
yes, absolutely. I was going to say, if the witness needs to step down to,
Be careful,
He
Mr. Parker,
can.
step down very briefly. This points to the
Sounds like a
jurors,
good plan.
where is Action Glass?
This building here?
And is that indicated by the words Action Glass on this map?
Yes, ma'am.
And now function 62. And while I'm waiting for that, I'll
Good Lord, could
And
y'all work
action
on your
glass.
technical?
Well, we fabricate metal. When I say grind glass, we polish the edges on it on mirrors and glass like tabletops, and we fabricate storefront metal at the shop.
Now, in order to do some of the work that you just described, what type of tools did you use at the company?
We have table saws, skill saws, sawzalls, drills, hammer drills, Dremel tools.
And you said a sawzall. What's a sawzall?
It's another name's a reciprocating saw.
Wow, well, that, sure.
And at Action Glass, describe to the jury, what was the company culture? Would you allow employees to borrow some equipment and tools at times?
Yes, ma'am.
And when employees wanted to borrow tools, would they have to give you a reason why they wanted to borrow a tool?
No, ma'am.
On average, if an employee wanted to borrow a tool, how long would you allow them to borrow the tool?
If it was during the week, I'd want it back the next day, just, 'cause we make our living with our tools. And then if it's a Friday, they could just bring it back on a Monday.
And we just talked about a reciprocating saw. Your Honor, permission to approach again?
yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 66. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 66?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you recognize State's Exhibit 66?
It's a sawzall.
Okay, and is that what you were calling a reciprocating saw?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the type of reciprocating saw that you had at your company?
I had Milwaukee's, and I probably had some DeWalt's too.
Okay. So the wall is a type or brand?
That's just a type, yes, ma'am.
But does this look similar to these?
Yes, ma'am.
Regardless of what the brand is?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Hold, Your Honor.
Now, I'm all for ladies, because I am one. And generally, though I pretend not to be, I'm the biggest misogynist of the panel that Baker and Valhalla always got in trouble for being misogynist. Only chick, biggest misogynist. But could they have possibly let one of the other state prosecutors, who might, unlike me, have the foggiest idea what a reciprocating saw is? Because Miss Love sounds like she is just as confused as what a saw is as I do. And I'd like to hear, from someone who maybe has the foggiest, faintest clue where this is. Tammy, not the table saw. Apparently it's called a sawzall, or a reciprocating saw is what the state is alleging might have been used to disarticulate the body. And I believe that Christopher, and the reason they have this witness is that Christopher, I think, was fired from Action Glass for either borrowing or stealing one of these reciprocating saws and not giving it back to his company. And it tended to disappear about the time that Melissa disappeared. And kind of, according to the state, he stole the saw to get rid of Melissa.
And does this fairly represent the type of saw that would be at Action Glass?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, this time the state would like to tender 66 for demonstrative purposes.
Mr. McDermott,
No objection.
Exhibit 66 is admitted.
Thank you. Permission to publish.
Permission granted.
And is this the same type of saw that you had back in 1996 and 97 and 98? That's an example of a reciprocating saw.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, during your time as owner at Action Glass, did you ever have an employee by the name of Christopher Wolfenbarger?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when did he work for the company?
October of 97 to February of 98. I believe it was.
Are you sure?
Is it 97, 98, 99? One of the two. It's right in there.
Did you provide,
to my knowledge.
no problem, did you provide to me this morning a copy of his separation notice?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And when looking at a copy of that, help refresh your memory as to when he worked at the facility.
I didn't even look at it, so I should have.
All right. Your permission to approach.
Granted. You don't have to ask every time for the same witness.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's marked with Stacy's Exhibit 67. Don't read it to me. Read it to yourself.
Okay.
Don't say it out loud. Does it help refresh your memory as to when he worked there?
Yes, ma'am.
When did he work at Action Glass?
October 98 to February 99.
All right. And do you recall what were some of his job duties and responsibilities while working at Action Glass?
Well, we grind glass, sweep up the shop. That was part of it. We clean our own trucks, fabricate metal, make deliveries, and go pick up stuff that needed, like from C.R. Lawrence or the paint place that we would get our paint from.
And would he, as well as other employees, have to use some of these tools?
Sir, would you say that you sell glass and glass accessories? And would you be willing to fashion yourself after Hank Hill just for the purposes of your testimony here?
In order to do some of the jobs you just described?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, while working at Action Glass, do you recall Mr. Wolfenbarger asking to borrow any tools?
To the best of my knowledge, he did.
Okay. What type of tool do you remember him asking to borrow?
I'm not sure on the.
Okay. The audio went out for all of us. I was just making sure.
In 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
Or excuse me, in 2024?
I'm not sure of the date.
Okay. Do you remember him coming to your home?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall him speaking to you and your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall him asking about whether or not he ever, I think at the time he thought, stole the saw? Do you remember him asking you about that?
He asked about if something was stolen, and that I told him I didn't know. I couldn't recall.
In that meeting with Mr. Shepherd, were you and your wife together in that meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you remember your wife giving a response about the saw?
I don't remember what her response was.
Do you remember her giving a response about the saw?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you remember agreeing with her response about that saw?
He
I don't
doesn't
remember that.
yesterday.
Do you recall myself and Mr. Vincent and Mr. Wilson coming to your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Last week? And did we play that for you, play that statement for you?
You did.
Okay. You're right, this time the statement like the tender states Exhibit 31, which is the audio of that, from 6:30 to 7:02.
Mr. McDermott?
I've not had the chance to hear this segment, Your Honor, that's being tendered.
Yeah, I believe the defense counsel has the entirety of the statement. So at some point, I don't know if he listened to it, but I believe he has the statement.
It's about a 30-second clip, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. It was produced, so I'm going to allow the state to go ahead, subject to your objection. You said that was Exhibit 31?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And we're just gonna publish 6 minutes and 30 seconds to 7:02.
Yeah, I might see if they were streamed. I don't like the yellow wood. Come on. Their technical skills are about as good as mine. It takes them forever to get stuff on the system.
I'm very hard to hear you.
It's okay. And did you ever suspect Chris of stealing a saw?
He asked to borrow it, from what I remember,
But we never got it back.
but we never got it back.
Gotcha. And that was like what type of saw was that?
It's like we either had Milwaukee Sawzalls or DeWalt or something like that.
It's a long handle thing and then a blade.
Gotcha.
We
Okay.
had electric one, then we had to start getting back, so.
So after he was terminated, he never brought the saw back?
Thank you. Is that your voice?
Well, every time I hear my voice, but that's it, I guess.
Okay, I understand, I get it. But
Believe me, I
listening to that, do
understand.
you hear when your wife tells the officer he borrowed the saw and then you describe the type of saw that it was?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did he ever return that saw?
I don't recall if he did or not.
Okay. Now, did Mr. Wolfenbarger ever leave employment at your company? Did he ever leave employment? Did he stop working at your company?
Yes, ma'am.
When did he stop working there?
I don't remember the date. I didn't look at it. It's February of '99.
And why did he stop working there?
I let him go that day. He'd wrecked my van and then wasn't where he's supposed to be making a delivery and couldn't give me an answer as to what actually happened. And so I just let him go.
I mean, seems reasonable.
And is it fair to say that after letting go, he never returned with that saw that he borrowed?
Not to my knowledge.
Court's indulgence for a moment.
Sure.
Do you recall him telling you why he needed the saw?
No, ma'am.
No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. McDermott?
is going on with our audio?
Mr. Brock, when you were working at Action Glass still, before you retired at age 65, who opened and closed the business?
Normally I did.
You did. And do you remember telling the detectives you were the only one that had a key?
When my brother and I had it, my brother had a key and I had a key
So only you two had a key?
at the time. And well, my wife would have had one, but she's always with me when I'm there.
So once that shop was closed in the evenings, no employees could have had access to it?
Not once it's closed.
Okay.
Can I see that termination letter, please?
I might.
Lift it up here.
There you go.
You just told the jury, or at least based on your recollection, that Chris was terminated because of an accident he had in one of your cars, or one of your vans. Is that correct?
Well, he said somebody hit him, but he couldn't give me a tag number or anything, so.
Okay.
Isn't it true that that accident happened in December the year before?
That accident where my van was wrecked?
Yes.
No, sir.
Just a minute, Your Honor.
Aw, the plot thickens. But is Georgia an employee at will state, so for any reason you can get let go?
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay.
That makes sense, Denise.
When defense counsel's finished, just so I can know what he's using to refresh his memory or what he's looking at.
Mr. McDermott,
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
that's okay.
Interesting. There's a police report on the van incident unless there are several times the van got messed up.
I'll show you to refresh your memory.
Ooh, I'm coming to your house.
I understand.
Does that document help refresh your memory that that accident actually occurred in December?
It tells me that it was wrecked in December, but it could, to me, the day I let him go, it was wrecked again, but it wasn't where I turned it into a police report.
I see. And I'm going to show you the same document they just showed you as far as the separation notice. And do you see this?
Mm-hmm.
And do you see that?
I do.
Okay. Does that refresh your memory as to the reason you gave for terminating Mr. Wolfenbarger?
I always put lack of work just because when they go to draw unemployment, it's just hassle-free, and I don't have to put up with a bunch of baloney.
So you did put lack of work on that document then?
I did.
Okay.
I mean, I guess he could put lack of work. If he wrecked your car, then he can't work and you can't work, so.
A clip in
Technically.
which Detective Shepard asked you and your wife whether Christopher had stolen a saw from you. And you testified here that you don't recall whether he stole it or not, whether it was brought back.
I don't remember.
And that's your testimony here today.
To the best of my ability, I do not recall it.
All right. Let's talk about the Sawzall for just a minute. You remember this photograph that they just showed you?
Yes, sir.
You need to get closer. I don't know how good your eyes are or not.
I can see it.
Is that a corded saw or a cordless saw?
That's cordless, but we would have had cord saws at the time, but they all look just alike.
They look similar, but in the 90s, that would have been a corded saw.
It would have been a corded saw.
Is that correct?
Oh, they didn't have batteries back then?
And is this the type of saw you would have used frequently on a job site?
We do.
Back in those days, would you have used them frequently?
Yes, sir.
Would it be the kind of saw that you could buy just about anywhere?
Any hardware store?
Home Depot and Lowe's all carries them.
Would you even be able perhaps to get one at Walmart?
I haven't seen one at Walmart.
Okay. Would it be a tool that you would find in nearly any construction site that you would visit?
Some of them may have had it.
Just in general, you've been on a lot of construction sites in your life, haven't you?
Well, I have.
How many would you guess? Hundreds, thousands?
But when we're on the site, we're
No, I
doing
need you to
glass
answer.
work.
I need you to answer my question.
Yes, sir.
How many construction sites have you been on in your life? Just rough estimate.
Several hundred.
Several hundred. And are there other contractors there?
Yes, sir.
And many types of contractors use those types of saws, don't they?
I'm sure they do.
And that is the type of saw you could find on virtually any construction site, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Don't quote me, but I think Mr. Mo has one. Not that I get to have fun with it.
We were just displaying a photograph of the front of your business. Is that, again, that's a fair and accurate representation of the front of Action Glass?
It is now.
It is now. And you said the only difference is it's been painted?
It's been painted.
Is the sign at the top there, was that there always?
We had a sign, yes, sir.
Did it say the same things that this one does?
It had Action Glass and stuff. That's a newer type sign, but the other one had Action Glass on it.
Action Glass, and did it say 890 Avon Avenue?
I don't remember that. I think one guy put the wrong number on one of them one time.
Okay, but it did have the address on it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for this witness, Ms. Hill?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. You are excused. State may call its next witness.
Your Honor, state called Cynthia Brock.
All right, so we're getting the wife. The wife's going to remember. She's going to have receipts. She was the secretary, so they probably had like a sign-in, sign-out sheet for tools.
And raise your right hand. He'll swear you in, okay?
Raise your hand, please.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you swear to apply to the testimony that you're about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Mercy.
The sweet granny vibes are big with this one. Like you go into her house and she's got cookies and cinnamon rolls ready for you. I'm just saying. She's like, now I'm like, oh, can I have someone be my grandma and make me cookies?
Just be careful about those wheels on that chair because there's a ledge there. So get situated. If you'll scoot up to the microphone, and if you'll start by stating and spelling your name for me for my record.
Cynthia Brock, Cynthia Cynthia, Brock Brock.
And how are you this morning?
I'm good.
Do you live in Georgia?
I do.
And are you married?
I am.
What's your husband's name?
Ronald Brock.
And are you currently working?
No, ma'am.
How long have you not been working?
15 years.
Are you retired?
Yes.
From what industry?
Excuse me.
From what industry?
Glass.
And did you work at Action Glass Company?
I did.
What did you do for Action Glass Company?
I was office manager, secretary, whatever.
You said whatever?
Mom.
It's like whatever they asked you to do, you did?
Whatever I did.
As your role as office manager and secretary, at least in that defined role, what were some of your job duties and responsibilities?
Basically accounts payables, receivables, and payroll.
And at Action Glass, was your husband the owner?
Yes.
Would you allow employees to borrow items?
All the time.
And would that be some of the tools that were utilized at the company?
Yes, ma'am.
During your time working as the office manager, do you recall an employee by the name of Christopher Wolfenbarger?
Yes.
And let me ask you, would you recognize him today if you saw him? Is that a no?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember when he worked for the company?
It's been a long time, probably over 20 years.
When he worked for the company, do you remember how long he worked for the company?
It was a short time, maybe 4 or 5 months.
Now, while he was working at the company, do you recall him ever borrowing any equipment?
I was told that he was going to be borrowing a piece of equipment.
Dr. Hearsay.
Okay.
Sustained.
Do you recall having an interview with a detective back in 2024?
I do.
Okay. And do you remember that detective coming to your home in 2024?
I do.
Okay. And was your husband present with you during that interview?
He was.
And do you recall the detective speaking to you about whether or not Mr. Wolfenbarger stole a saw during that time?
I do.
Okay. And do you recall responding to him about that saw?
Kind of.
Okay. And did you meet with me last week?
I did.
And did you meet with members of my team last week?
Yes.
And did you have an opportunity to listen to and hear that statement?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Your Honor, this time the state would like to publish again State's Exhibit 31.
Why?
Section 630 to 702.
Mr. McDermott,
No objection.
go ahead.
Well, it's going to take you 20 minutes to pull up the daggone file.
Oh, yeah, I'm muted.
Nope. Keep the Zoom muted.
From what I remember,
But we never got it back.
but we never got it back.
Gotcha. And that was like a, what type of saw was that?
It's like we either had Milwaukee sawzalls or DeWalt or something like that.
It's a long handle thing and then a blade.
Gotcha.
We
Okay.
had electrical and then we started getting batteries, so.
So after he was terminated, he never brought the saw back?
Well, we
Pause
haven't
at
seen it
702.
again.
Now, in that brief portion that you heard, is that your voice?
Yes.
Okay. And in that brief portion, did you say someone told you, or did you just tell them that you remember him taking the saw or borrowing the saw?
I guess I said that he took the saw.
Or he borrowed
Yeah,
the saw?
he borrowed it.
Okay. Now, do you ever recall him telling you why he needed to borrow the saw?
No.
Do you recall in that same interview talking to Detective Shepard about why he told you he needed to borrow the saw?
I don't remember that.
You just asked her the same question twice.
Will listening to it help refresh your memory?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Do you remember listening to that portion last week when we met?
No.
If
So are we-
that is on that statement, would that be an accurate memory that you have if you told Detective Shepard why he borrowed the saw?
I guess. I mean, I don't much about that time.
I mean, do we need to have a motive as to why he borrowed, didn't borrow,
Do you
stole,
remember
didn't
giving
stole
the
the
statement
sawzall?
to Detective Shepard?
I do remember giving a statement.
But you don't recollect what you told Detective Shepard?
No, ma'am.
When is the last time you may have saw Mr. Wolfenbarger?
She doesn't remember when she first saw him.
Maybe the day that he was let go.
court's indulgence for one moment.
Sure.
I'm not sure you would get much out of her except for possibly the reason that Chris gave her or what she remembered, which may not be accurate.
Thank you, Mr. McDermott. Sure.
This has previously been admitted into evidence. And do you recognize that
That's where I
in
worked.
front of your job? And was it significantly the same in 1999?
Different color, but pretty much the same.
And I noticed that you have an iron fence up in front of the business.
Yes, sir.
And does that close at night and lock?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you consider the area that your business is located in a safe area?
No,
Would it be the kind of place you would want to go walking at night by yourself?
and absolutely not.
Do you remember me calling your husband a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and talking on the phone?
He told me that someone had called.
And
I wasn't present at that time.
at the very end of that phone call, he was in the room with you. And I asked him, do you remember me asking him, did Christopher bring that saw back?
I don't remember that.
And just one more.
I'm hard of hearing, so I may not have.
Well, do you remember answering him, oh yeah, he brought that saw back?
No, I don't.
Don't remember that? Okay. No further
Did
questions,
you
Your Honor.
record the phone call?
Anything else, Ms. Hilton?
Nothing to see.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
You may step down. You are excused. Ms. Hilton, state may call its next witness.
Your Honor, state calls Mr. Dorothy Cooley.
Mr. Who? Did she say Thornton? Like Courtney, but instead with a TH? Dorothy.
Okay. And ma'am, once you have a seat, just be careful about the rolly chair next to the ledge there. And then if you'll scoot up to the microphone and then state and spell your name for the record, okay?
My name is Dorothy Jean Cooley. Dorothy is D-O-R-O-T-H-Y. Jean, J-E-A-N. Cooley, C-O-O-L-E-Y.
And good morning, Ms. Cooley. How are you?
Fine.
Have you ever gone by the name of Dorothy Jones?
No, I haven't.
Do you recall ever telling the police your name is Dorothy Jones?
I don't require it else. No.
I can't
No,
hear her.
ma'am.
I can't hear her.
Yeah, you'll just make sure and speak into the microphone, okay? Thank you.
Wait a minute. When your first question to your own witness that you just called was, have you ever been called by another alias? And they're like, no. And you have to bring up the fact that they may have given the police an alias in the past. Georgia, again, I posit, what in the hell is going on down there?
Are you working?
Yes.
What type of work do you do?
I'm a cook.
And how long have you been a cook?
13 years.
And do you have children?
I have 3 kids.
Are you from Atlanta?
I'm originally from Alabama.
How long have you lived in Atlanta?
40 years.
Where in Atlanta did you grow up? Or
On Brookline.
and what part of the city is Brookline?
The West End.
And do you recall what was your address on Brookline?
825 Brookline Street.
How long did you live at 825 Brookline?
Ooh, at least about 25 years.
Who did you live on Brookline with?
My mom and my stepfather.
Can you describe for the jury the community on Brookline? Who lived there? What type of people?
Good people, a good neighborhood.
Was it a mixed ethnic community?
It was more African American than it was anybody.
And was it a friendly neighborhood?
Yes, ma'am.
While living on Brookline, did you ever meet someone named Chris?
Yes, I did.
How did you meet him?
We were just hanging out, playing and stuff, you know, like little kids do. Kids.
Were you older or younger than Chris?
I was older.
If you can think about how much older are you than Chris?
I don't know, ma'am.
Is it 5 years, 10 years? Can you give me that?
10 or 15 years, something like that, I guess. He's around my brother and them age.
You keep looking somewhere. Do you recognize anyone?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you
Yes.
recognize?
Chris.
All right. And this is the same Chris that we've been talking about?
Yes.
And where is he in the courtroom? Who do you recognize as Chris?
Chris, sir.
Who are you pointing at?
The sir with the suit, the blue suit, ma'am.
Okay. In the blue tie?
Yes.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that she's identified Mr. Wolfenbarger.
The record will so reflect.
Now, you said he was around your brother's age.
Yes.
Okay. I know I'm not supposed to ask a woman her age, but approximately how old are you?
Middle 40s.
Okay. And then how old is your brother?
My brother's in his middle 40s. I'm 58.
You're 58. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I was about to say middle 40s, ma'am. I'm not trying to be mean, but I have some questions.
Now, you said that you kind of would hang out with him. Is that on Brookline?
Yes, we just hung out in the streets playing ball.
Did she just say screeks? Like streets, but S-K...
Street.
So you're not, did he live with anyone?
His wife.
Now, when you first met Chris, about how old was he?
I can't correct, I don't know what kind of age, but he was like, ooh, it was in the 90s when I first met Chris.
When you first met Chris, did he have a wife?
I don't know if he was married or not when I first met him.
Okay. Well, did she meet him when he was a kid? Because she's talking about playing on the streets, or is this more adolescent?
Brookline.
I don't know if it was his family, but he used to be over there at Rick's house next door to us, named Rick.
Now, was he living at Rick's house or would he visit Rick's house?
He just be at Rick's house.
When you say just be, is that visit?
Yes.
And when you said that he had lived across the street, is that different from Rick's house or is that the same house?
That's different from Rick's house.
From your house at 825, was Rick's house next door to you?
Yes, ma'am. Next door.
And then you said at some point in time, he lived across the street from you?
Yes.
Do you remember the address across the street from you?
Like 826 or 827, 827 or 829 across the street.
It was across the street?
Yes. All even numbers on one side and all numbers on the opposite side.
Okay, so you were at 825, so he's across the street, so it'll be 826.
26 or 828, something like that.
Okay.
830. It was one of those.
And when he lived across the street, was that when he was living with his wife?
That's when I met his wife over there, yeah.
When he was living with his wife, would Chris still spend time hanging out with you?
We would just hang out in the street. Yes, ma'am, we would.
Would his wife hang out with you all?
No.
So she didn't like to play in the street?
And when you say you would hang out, would that be at your house or somewhere else, or where would you hang out?
In the street or on our porch, or their porch.
And when you say their porch, are you talking about Rick's porch, or are you talking about across the street?
His porch, Rick's porch, and our porch. We used to hang out like that.
Hung out on porches. Got it.
Now, you said that you saw his wife. Did Chris ever introduce you to his wife?
No.
Did you ever know her name?
I didn't know her name. No, I did not.
How did you know it was Chris's wife?
He told her that was his wife.
Can you describe what she looked like? Do you remember?
She was a pretty young lady. She was pretty.
Do you remember anything about her characteristics?
I didn't see her much.
If you saw a picture of her, do you think you may recognize her?
Yes.
How do you recognize this thing, number one?
I remember her face. She's pretty.
Okay. Is that the wife that you're referencing?
Yes.
I will say that that color green is a lovely color on her. So if you have to buy more clothes, that olive green is a great shade for you.
Can I sit there, please? Sorry. Okay.
And do you remember her from back when you saw her across the street?
Yes.
At any time, did you ever see her with any children?
One.
One time you saw her with children, or you saw her with one child?
One child.
Yeah.
When you saw her with the child, was it a young baby, a newborn, an older child walking? How old did the child?
It was walking.
How often did you see her with that child?
To my recollection, I seen her about 3 times with her and the child.
Did Chris ever introduce you or show you the child?
No, he didn't introduce us.
I apologize, ma'am. If you'll just make sure and speak into that microphone.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Can you say your answer again?
No, he didn't introduce us.
Thank you.
Now, when he was living across the street with his wife, did you know of anyone else living at that home?
No, no, ma'am.
Okay.
When they were living together, would you hear anything going on at their house?
Arguing.
What could you describe what you would hear?
Bad language. Arguing, and you might hear something break or something like that.
Did you ever see anything like physical happening?
No, ma'am.
How often would you hear these arguments or things breaking?
I heard it like 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times total, 3 or 4 times a week, a day? When you say 3 or 4 times?
I can't pinpoint it. 3 or 4 times a week or something like that.
Would you hear anything else besides arguments or glass breaking?
No.
Would you hear any screaming or yelling?
just arguing and telling folks to stop doing whatever they was doing and stuff like that.
Was that a male voice or a female voice that
It
you?
was both voices. Both voices.
Do you recall meeting with me a few days ago?
Yes.
Okay. And being with my investigators?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall telling us that you heard her screaming?
Yes.
Okay. So did you hear her screaming?
Yes.
Why didn't you want to say that a few minutes ago?
I don't know.
Did you ever see this one with any injuries?
I seen her like a bruise up under her eye because she had shades on. That was it.
It was that one time you saw her with the bruise?
Yes.
When you would hear any of the arguing or the yelling, did you ever call police?
No, ma'am.
When you saw that injury, and she had those glasses on, did you ever speak to her about her injury?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever speak to Chris about any of the arguing that you heard?
No, ma'am.
And were you friends with Chris at that time?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, basically, she didn't ever talk to Melissa and only saw her in passing.
Now, did there ever come a time when you no longer saw the woman at the house?
Yes.
Did you ever talk to Chris about not seeing her at the house anymore?
No, we just asked Chris where his wife was, and he said that she was leaving him.
Is there any point in time where you stopped seeing Chris in the
yes.
neighborhood?
And Sarah Adams, it seems like she and Christopher were friends back when Melissa and Christopher were living in the marital home. She was a neighbor. Now, that being said, I do think Chris and Melissa were 16 or 17, but very incredibly young when they got married. So when she kind of talks about her relationship with Chris kind of being like kids out hanging out in the street, I think she had more of an affinity with Chris, and she kind of states that she didn't really ever talk to Melissa. Chris kind of pointed her out as his wife, and while she would hear them having arguments, and she was reluctant to say that she would hear Melissa screaming during these arguments, which she said were as frequent as 3 to 4 times a week. And that she once maybe saw one of the children there. Now, we were told by both the state or by the defense that Melissa had signed over her parental rights. So this might have been for a visit with the children, but the child would have been at least old enough to walk. So maybe toddler or early preschool, like 3, 4, is kind of what she was saying as far as the child. She did seem reluctant to throw Chris under the bus as far as possibly having heard Melissa scream due to arguments or physicality going in the house. That being said, I don't know what she's adding to this other than she's saying that she did see Melissa with a bruise possibly, but she was also wearing sunglasses, and she didn't approach Melissa to ask her about it, according to her testimony. It was just something she noted in passing.
Yes, later on, yes.
When you say later on, what do you mean?
I stopped seeing her like 6 or 7 months after.
After what?
Oh, in the 90s, so he didn't stay over there long.
Okay. So let's talk about it. You said you first met him in the 90s.
Yes.
Is this early 90s when you first?
When I first met him was like 97, 98 or something like that.
When you first met Chris?
Yes.
Okay. So when do you think is the last time you met Chris?
About 99, something like that. When the last time I saw him, something like that.
99 was the last time you saw him?
Yes.
Now, but you said when...
I moved away from after 99. I did.
Okay. And we'll come back to that in a moment. Do you remember again when we met talking about meeting Chris in the late 80s?
90s.
Okay. Is that fair to say that that's when you first met?
I was just guessing the years, but yeah, I met him in the 90s. That like 89 through 95 or something like that when I first met him.
Okay. 89, 95 when you first meet him.
Yes.
When you first start seeing the wife, when is that roughly?
Like 90, 97, 98, something like that.
Okay. And then you said you left the neighborhood in 95.
I left the neighborhood and I moved to, what is it? Sylvan Road.
Okay.
Sylvan Road.
Now, you left in 99. When you said you stopped seeing Chris in the neighborhood, is that before you left in 99?
Yes.
Did Chris ever come and say goodbye to you?
No.
Did he ever tell you he was leaving the neighborhood?
No.
Do you recall when, if anything happened the last time you saw Chris?
No, ma'am.
Do you recall some type of cookout with Chris?
We used to cook out on the street. And in the back, yes, we used to cook out.
Do you remember telling me about a particular cookout?
We had a cookout and we went in the backyard.
Whose backyard?
Chris and them backyard.
And in the backyard, was there anything that you were having to cook out on?
Like somebody made a platform, cement.
And was that at Chris's house?
Yes.
And that's the house that he was sharing with his wife?
Yes.
And at this cookout, was the wife there?
I didn't see her.
You've been most helpful, ma'am.
And to your knowledge, had Chris built this platform in the back?
Yes.
State, if you're making a big deal about this concrete pad, I hope like heck, unlike what's been evidenced in the past little bit on this trial and then with the YSL trial, that you actually had someone look underneath this concrete pad. If you're kind of inferring that maybe Melissa's torso could be under this concrete pad in the backyard, then I'm hoping that you actually looked there. Because I can't fathom why we're bringing up the backyard cookout. Unless you're
Now,
going
did there
with
ever
that.
come a time where you had to clean out Chris's home?
The rent man had us to clean the house out.
And is this the same house that he shared with the wife?
Yes.
What type of things were you cleaning out of the house?
Clothes, furniture, and clothes.
If you can recall, I know it's been probably some time, were these women's clothes, men's clothes?
Men's clothes.
And as far as time frame, is this cleaning of the house before you left off of Brookline in 99?
I used to work for the man cleaning houses.
Okay.
It was, Mr. Holyfield used to own the houses. And like when people move out and stuff, he was to clean his house.
Makes
So,
sense.
I don't,
Do you remember if it was did you clean this house when you started living on Sylvan Road, or were you still living on Brookline?
I was living on Sylvan Road then when I cleaned the house.
And this cookout that you're referencing with Chris, is this before or after you would see the woman that we've been talking about, the wife with the baby?
Was it before or after?
Yes.
It was after I had seen his wife.
Do you know anyone named Norma Patton?
No, ma'am.
Do you know anyone named Tina Patton?
No, ma'am.
What about Carl Patton?
No, ma'am.
Court's indulgence for 1 moment.
Sure.
Sarah, I have no idea where we're going about this cookout, other than I think to show that Melissa was not at the home. So I guess to establish that Christopher had kind of continued to stay at the home and Melissa wasn't there.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Two.
At what point is there a penalty?
I'm going to put like an electric shock on it for lawyers, so.
Get a stun belt for me. Tell me your name again.
Dorothy Jean Cooley.
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 Cooley?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you ever go by the name Dorothy Roundtree?
I was married to a Roundtree.
You were married to a Roundtree. And at some point, did you go by the name Colley, Colley?
No.
Okay. And I think you already said you never used the last name Jones. Is that right?
No, I haven't.
Do you remember being interviewed by the police back in 2003 one time?
No, sir, I don't remember. I don't recall.
Okay. Do you remember a Detective Calhoun who came out to 825, 827? That's where you lived, right?
Yes.
Do you remember a detective coming out and talking to you and asking you many of the same questions you were just asked here?
I don't recall them coming out to my house. It's been so long, sir.
Okay.
I don't remember a police questioning me.
Okay. Well, not on that occasion.
Yes.
You know, other times there were police
Yes.
questioning you,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
We'll talk about that. So the events that you're talking about were essentially, will go back 35 years ago, correct?
Something like that, 25, 30 years, yeah.
Yeah. Because you said that you originally met Chris, my client, about 10 years before you met the wife, correct?
I met Chris was young when I first seen him coming over to the next door.
Okay. And, you know, well, like, how old was he then, do you think? Was he living there then?
No, he wasn't living there then.
Okay. How old do you think he was then?
I don't know, sir. He's about the same. He's around the age of my baby brother is. So, my baby brother, when we first met Chris, they were still in school. He was in school.
Give me a rough estimate. Just
17, 18 or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, so that was what he was 10 years before when you saw him over on Brookline.
What do you mean, sir?
I can just ask questions, and you've got to help me by answering.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay, did you meet this boy when you were living with your parents, okay, when he was young? Now, the problem is that Melissa and he got married exceptionally young. So there could be an actual disconnect as to when she met him, if it was in close relation, because I believe that Christopher was 17 and I think Melissa was 16 or 17. So they were incredibly young when they got married. That being said, she may have known him when he was 13 or 14. I don't know. Look, it's done been years and no one remembers.
Know how old he was, sir.
Okay. But if he's the same age as your brother.
I say he's around my brother's age.
Okay. Well, I mean, where was he living when you first met him?
I don't know where he was living when I first met him.
Okay.
When I first met him, I used to just see him over there next door to the man's house. I don't know if he was living up here or not, but that's why I met him on Brookline.
Okay. How often would you see him during this period? I just wrote down 1989 through 95.
How many times did I see him?
Yeah.
I can't count, sir.
Well, every day?
Every other day.
Every other day?
Yes.
Okay. Beginning in 1989, say.
89 or 90, something like that when I first met him.
Okay. And then you say at some point he actually moved in to one of the
He
houses.
moved in across the street from us.
Right. Because you said you're in the odd number houses and he moved into a house in an even number.
I was staying in 825. So he was staying across, so he was even numbers on the other side.
Right. And that's a duplex also, correct?
All of them was duplexes, sir.
Right. So when you're in your house and you're hearing arguing across the street, it's from one of it's from the duplex, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in the duplex was a man named Troy Keys. You remember that?
The white man stayed across the street from us.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I remember Mr. Troy.
And he lived with Mary Williamson.
I don't know who he lived with.
Well, there was a woman named Mary who lived there for many years, right?
When I met Mr. Troy was there by himself.
Okay.
If it was a lady staying with him, I didn't ever see her.
Okay. But they were living in the duplex across the street, which was connected to the house, as a duplex connected, had a common wall.
Yes.
With the house that Chris was living in.
Objection, Your Honor, because he put it.
It's the same house that Mr.
Ma'am,
Troy.
I apologize for interrupting, but there's an objection I have to deal with before you answer, okay? Thank you.
Mischaracterization of the evidence, because he said they, and her response wasn't a they, it was a, she doesn't know a they.
Okay.
So,
If she understands the question, she can answer it. I'm going to overrule it. Go ahead, Mr. Samuel.
Okay, so there's a duplex across the street from you,
Yes, sir.
just like your house was a duplex.
Yes, sir.
There were people living on the other side of you also, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at night, sometimes you'd be in your house and you'd hear arguing from the house across the street, correct?
Be on the front porch.
You'd be on the front porch.
Yes.
And hear arguing across the street. And it's coming from inside of a duplex.
Yes.
Okay. And in the other duplex was Troy and sometimes this woman Mary, correct?
Yes.
And sometimes in the other half, the duplex was where Chris and Melissa lived, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't know Melissa very well, right?
I didn't know her at all. I just met her, just looking at,
Okay.
passing by or whatever.
Okay. So you never had a long conversation with her about anything?
No, sir.
You never met two kids, you just saw one kid?
I just seen one kid, sir.
Okay. For how many years did you see them there together?
I seen the lady and the kid 3 times, at least 3 or 4 times, sir.
Okay. How about the lady, you're talking about Melissa, right?
Yes, sir.
Without the kid, how often did you see her?
I didn't never see her without the kid.
Okay. So over the course of the entire time that you saw Melissa, there were 3 times, excuse me, can I start over? Over the course of the time that you were living there, you saw Melissa a grand total of 3 times.
3 to 4 times, sir.
Okay. Over how long a period of time is that? Months, years?
It was like 3 times. If I seen her, when I see her, she was getting in the...
It sounds like the stout guy with the beard. The other one has kind of a smoother voice. Ponytail has a smooth voice. Guy with the beard is kind of like Al Borland as a rat terrier, or like a Jack Russell Terrier. Kind of a little more nevish and anxious.
The car to go to the grocery store, wherever they was going. I didn't never see her out mingling with nobody, sir.
Okay. And never had a conversation with her?
No, sir. High and by, that's it.
High and by, okay. But you talked to Chris?
Chris used to hang out, yes. We used to talk.
Okay. And you knew Chris for however many years, 7, 8, 9, 10, before Melissa moved in to the duplex with him?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know when they got married?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. Do you know a man named Don Perone?
I know a man named Don, but I don't know his last name, sir.
Where did he live?
Brookline.
Okay. By the way, when you described the arguing, you said you would hear screaming back and forth. Is that right?
I would hear them telling people to stop doing whatever they was doing, sir.
Okay.
If they was arguing and fighting or whatever, I would hear them say, stop doing whatever he was doing to her, just stop doing it.
Okay. He would tell her to stop doing something.
She would tell him to stop doing something.
Okay. And did you hear him screaming at her also?
Arguing. They was arguing back and forth like.
Okay.
Okay.
And this went on for how many years?
I don't know how many years it went on, sir.
That you heard?
That I heard?
Yes.
It wasn't no years. I heard it like 3 or 4 times out of a, just say 3 or 4 times out of a week or something like that.
3 or 4 times per week you would hear arguing?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. During this period of time, you were convicted of some crimes, weren't you?
Yes, I was, sir.
Okay. In fact, you've been arrested about 11 times, right?
Yes, I have, sir.
You've been arrested for aggravated assault?
Yes, I have, sir.
Been convicted of aggravated assault?
Yes, I have been, sir.
Okay. You were arrested for theft?
I don't know about no theft, sir.
Theft by receiving?
Theft by receiving, yes, I was.
Mm-hmm. You were arrested.
The state, you actively chose this witness, and I'm a full believer that I have done dumb things and everyone has done dumb things, so you can always redeem your life. However, there was a sort of caginess, and the defense had alluded to her criminal background, that she is answering around a lot of questions that I noticed, and it's sort of a very frustrating way to not answer a question. She is deliberately answering things very, very literally and very kind of trying to throw the officer or the defense attorney off their game. But you could also tell that she was reluctant to admit that she heard Melissa screaming. She kind of tried to say that she would hear both of them arguing back and forth until the state attorney said, "Were you hearing a woman or a man's voice?" And she's like, "Okay, I'd hear a woman screaming." Her testimony seems to be very changeable depending on who's asking. Again, she might have changed her life around. I'm not trying to judge where she is as a person now, but this is something that the jury is going to have to weigh. And with some of these crimes, with theft by receiving, with, some of these things having to do with, credibility, this might be something that the jury takes into account.
For burglary?
Not as I recall.
Okay. You were convicted of prostitution?
No, I was not, sir.
You were arrested for prostitution?
I was arrested for prostitution.
And soliciting sodomy, right?
That's what they say, sir.
That's it. I'm done. I'm done, y'all. Well, if you had getting into a fight over whether you were in fact convicted or just arrested of prostitution, and whether or not, or what the classification of sodomy was, if you had that on your bingo card, well, then you win today. Y'all, we have already heard more things come. Georgia, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you because that's all I got to say.
Those are all proper, but
You were,
I think that's a withdrawn objection.
well, I'm going to object any further of the arrest questions as improper.
Okay.
you were, during the same period of time, 1998, you were arrested and went to jail for battery, family violence, correct?
Objection, improper questioning. Your
It's not impeachment. I'm trying to show she's not even there because she's getting arrested.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of leeway, Mr. Samuel.
You were arrested for battery, family violence in December of 1998, right?
But who I was arrested for family violence.
Yeah, you want to see?
Yes, I do.
You would like to see who your victim was because you're unsure as to which assault it was? Perhaps not the best showing as a witness to argue over who I done beat up.
Battery.
Remember that?
No, sir, I don't, but I remember getting arrested. I don't know. I didn't get arrested about no family.
You got arrested for battery.
I got arrested for battery and wasn't against none of my family.
Okay. The charge is family violence battery. I just showed it to you,
You
right?
just showed it to me, sir.
Okay. And then,
You did.
We get it. We get it. She was your cousin twice removed, and because she was removed, she was no longer in the family. I have so many questions, none of the answers. What is going on here? Oh my God.
after that, hindering apprehension of a criminal you were arrested for?
Objection, Your Honor. What year does it still be improper?
2009.
Can y'all come here for just a minute?
Ain't no one getting a frosty now. Y'all had to go see the judge. What in the name of unholy cussedness is going on? I have never seen such a height disparity in my life. And it's kind of making my day, if I'm honest with you. It kind of fits this trial.
You say you've never used the name Dorothy Jones?
No, sir, I haven't.
Okay. Most of the events we've been talking about here are for events that occurred, and again, I know we don't know a particular starting date, but late 80s, 89 or 90, up through 99, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And is it fair to say, maybe this is, just kind of rhetorical, that
Objection is rhetorical because.
take out the rhetorical. I want an answer.
He hasn't phrased it yet, so I can't tell him to rephrase, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Forget the rhetorical. If you
Have her define rhetorical, because I kind of would be entertained.
were approached by the police in 2003, would you have been honest with them?
Would I have been honest with them?
Yeah. Would you be honest if a policeman wanted to interview you in 2003?
Yes.
Okay. Would you have told them the truth about your name?
Yes, I would have.
Okay. And if in 2003 you were interviewed by a detective were you living on Brookline in 2003?
No. I had moved from Brookline. My mom and them still stayed on Brookline. I go visit my mom and I'm on Brookline.
Well, Maybe I should ask you another question. Do you know anybody by the name Dorothy Jones?
No, I do not.
That's not your mother's name.
My mama's name is Stella Shanks.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So if you were interviewed by the police in 2003, you would have been honest with them?
Yes, I would have.
You would have been honest about your name?
Yes.
And you would have been honest about not ever having talked or seen, let me take that back, not ever having...
Oh, sweetie, he's asking you this because he knows
That you
you
didn't know
lied.
Melissa at all, correct?
No, sir, I didn't.
Okay. And now we are 22 years later, right?
Right.
From this event in 2003 that I'm asking you about. And really we are 25 or 26 years later than any observations you had when you were in Brookline, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to say yes or no.
Yes.
All right, ma'am, this is not your first rodeo with the judicial system. I think we've established at least that at the very least. Could you at least, say yes and no? Thank you. Daggone.
When was the last time you saw the people who lived in the other half of the duplex where Chris and Melissa lived?
It was a long time after I left from over there. I seen her.
I'm talking about Trey Keys and the woman Mary, who you saw occasionally.
It was a long.
Objection, Your Honor. Miss, improper characterization of her testimony.
Well,
She never said she saw Mary.
Well, I'll just remind you that the lawyer's questions aren't evidence, and he can ask the question, and if she understands it, she can answer. So I'm going to overrule your objection. Go ahead, Mr. Samuel.
I'll just withdraw that and be more careful. Did you in fact meet the other person who lived there with Troy, or do you know, named Mary Williamson?
I didn't know her name, but I used to see a lady over there, but I didn't know they stayed together, sir.
Okay. How often did you see her over there?
So she was just in the house to play?
I don't know.
Did they come out to barbecues also?
They used to, I don't know if it was he couldn't hear you or nothing. The man that stayed over there, I think he was couldn't hear. He couldn't hear or nothing. But all I used to do is just pass by him and speak to him and stuff.
Okay, but I'm asking about the woman who was occasionally there with you.
I don't know nothing about her, sir. I don't know.
But you saw her there?
I saw her 1 or 2 times there.
That's all right. Those are my questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Hilton?
Thank you.
What more are we
I
going to
want
get out of this
ask
woman?
you about this Troy and this woman that Mr. Samuel talked about. When you would see Chris and his wife, did you ever see that woman at Troy's house?
No.
So when you're talking about the arguing and the screaming, is that coming from Chris and the wife, as far as what you could tell from where you were sitting at on the
board?
board?
As far as I could tell.
And do you know who Melissa is?
Not really, ma'am.
I wonder if she had a crush on Chris.
Chris's wife, but not met. When you saw Chris's wife, did you know her name?
No, ma'am.
You just recognized that lady in the picture I showed you earlier.
Yes.
And you recognize her to be Chris's wife?
Yes.
Okay, I call BS. She had to know her name because if a man's going to hang out on a front porch and gossip and talk, and everyone is saying like, we hear you and your wife going, or your old lady and you going at it all the time, like yelling and fighting and fussing with each other. Could you stop? Because we'd like peace and quiet. And he'd probably be like, yeah, man, my wife is, Melissa's just trying her best. I'm kind of an idiot. Or she's crazy and she's always mad at me. But he's going to use her name. So I call super BS. If they were hanging out all the time and what are you going to do but gossip about your relationships and stuff? It just seems that Christopher wouldn't be keeping his wife out of it. Now, maybe Christopher, there's a couple ways you could look at this. If we follow the state's premise that Christopher is a domineering and controlling man, he might have isolated Melissa's ability to be around other people. He might have kept her in the house. He might have wanted to portray, the good husband, to his friends. So she wasn't allowed to hang out with his friends because they might have been able to see that there was something not good in their relationship. However, I don't know. We haven't actually gotten enough evidence from non-biased sources to where I feel like I can give any explanation. I just do not feel that she's being completely honest.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Samuel?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You may step down. You are excused.
All right, so we are a good portion into
So, ladies and gentlemen,
day 2, and it looks like they're getting ready to go on a little bit of a break. So we will start up tomorrow with this. So we will be on day 2 and, try to clip along at a 3 or 4 hour pace and then really catch up on the weekend. I have about, let's see here, 11 pages of notes, but these don't have backs, which I find to be chintzy. If you're going to sell a notebook, then at least have front and back pages or parts of the page printed. That being said, I thank you guys for hanging out with me, the Petty Express. This is the wildest case I have ever been, and we're just barely into day 2. That being said, I will be on the channel tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time. Shizzy and I will be going over more of the Kohberger documents that were dropped. And then probably by this weekend, I do want to review the documentary that came out on HBO Max, One Night in Idaho. This was a documentary about the Kohberger case, and it seems to follow kind of the family's journey through the criminal justice system and how this investigation takes place. So I want to look at that to see if that's something Shizzy and I are going to maybe go check out over on Rumble with you guys. I just want to see how that looks. Oh, and it's good? Well, that is good to know. Well, so there you go. Y'all, I just have like 1 or 2 questions. I have never in my life heard a Georgia Creole where streets became screets. Is that a normal thing? I haven't ever been to Georgia that I remember, though, so this could be just me not being very aware of things. Also, allegedly, we are going to get actual evidence from the state. So hold on. We're allegedly going to actually get some reliable witnesses in soon. That being said, I'm actually looking around to see if Carl Patton's trial or any of his trials were streamed. I think it would be an interesting idea to look at some of his crimes next. I just have to see if they were actually streamed or, covered locally. But that is definitely something I am looking into. So hopefully we will continue to look at this. And have a wonderful day. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry can of bitch fire because you never know when you might need to borrow a sawzall or not borrow or steal or Schrodinger sawzall or who the hell knows. Good night, nurse. This is a crazy case. I will see you guys all at 6 p.m. Have a great day.